Erica Lorraine Spencer here. This is the P.O.C, Pattern of Conduct, real-time documentation of the state of California's criminal pattern of conduct of federal stalking in concert with the people of the state of California in violation of existing federal law, that is 18 U.S.C. section 2261A, subsection 1 and subsection 2. This is ongoing documentation that is specifically gathered following my release from kidnapping by this entity that was ceaselessly monitoring in violation of 18 U.S.C. and in violation of Title 15 and in violation of the Prison Rape Elimination Act, as I was subject to the same exact criminal pattern of conduct while kidnapped by this entity seeking to conceal this criminal system that I am documenting and publishing and exposing on the venue of the internet, where I am also subject to the criminal pattern of conduct, and understand that kidnapping is the pattern of conduct that is criminal obstruction of justice, as the entity seeks to avoid prosecution and to avoid documentation and exposure for engaging in this criminal system. The people of the state are the vicarious aspect of the entity. They are engaging in federal stalking as I am kidnapped by the state inside of the state facilities, all right? And they are fully engaging in kidnapping upon criminal summoning. So this is the this is the entity from beginning to the end engaging in the criminal acts of the federal stalking and the acts of criminal obstruction of justice. This is also documentation on the venue of the internet engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct via obstruction of justice, and this is in any way reducing or removing the ability to publish the ongoing documentation of the state's criminal pattern of conduct, which is waging an ongoing threat to my life as I remain subject to this criminal system. And this is the criminal pattern of conduct on the venue of the internet, okay? And that is the totality of what I have documented since release. I was kidnapped from June 18, 2021 from third-party facilitating venue of the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, where the Ontario Police Department were monitoring, and this in conformity to the ongoing wealth of documentation that I have already published, specifically revealing the Ontario Police Department engaging in monitoring and kidnapping, which was via the assertion of a fictitious warrant pursuant to a fictitious prosecution. That is the people of the state of California v. Erica Lorraine Spencer, case number Mary Wendy Victor 2000640. I was subject to kidnapping pursuant to this fictitious prosecution, documentation on the facility cameras everywhere that I was inside of the facility of West Valley, located at 9700 Etiwana Avenue in the city of Rancho Cucamonga, California, and at the state facilitating venue of the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, located at 8303 Haven Avenue in the city of Rancho Cucamonga, and I was subject to federal stalking ceaselessly at the jail, at the courthouse, in the courtrooms, okay? The same exact pattern of conduct ceaselessly underway. The kidnapping serves obstruction of justice, and that this is kidnapping that I endured from June 18th, 2021 up until August 16th, 2021. This is the P.O.C. September 7th, 2021. This documentation beginning as of 6:03 a.m. at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. This is documentation of the state of California, a public entity engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct of what is federal stalking in violation of 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A, both subsections 1 and 2, in concert with the people of the state of California, which are, as one group, the vicarious aspect of the public entity's engagement in a criminal system of monitoring with communication devices on the venue of the internet and in relevant position as the state is engaging in what is a satanic targeting system. All right, this is the P.O.C.
a.m. That is a non-Amtrak train used on the Amtrak train tracks at the museum upon amplified audible activity, in addition to ongoing amplified plane activity. This is federal stalking. It's P.O.C. That is the state taking off over the over the museum at, this is just moments later, at 6:07 a.m. That's amplified plane activity while the state is stalking in third-party commercial airline planes over the museum. 6:08 a.m. P.O.C. This is called patrolling. 6:09 a.m. That's the state in another plane. P.O.C. Taking off, and I put that in air quotes. This is ongoing activity, audible activity, stalking in relevant position at the museum, right? As is the state doing at every venue. This is Ontario Museum of History and Art, 6:23 a.m. 6:24 a.m. This is exactly what the state was doing. As I captured in videos, that group stalkers stopped on the sidewalk right in front of me in the BMW. A white female that's supposed to appear certainly and obviously detached from me, in no way stalking. That's the mask of the state. While federal group stalking was underway by a demon-possessed actor, aware of the documentation, bringing a random Caucasian female who was engaging in the same exact criminal pattern of conduct of the state while the state was stalking it in an airplane in relevant position, which is audible activity in directed light pursuant to an ongoing established pattern of conduct by the state, directly and vicariously, including Amtrak engaged in that P.O.C. It is 6:25 a.m. Amtrak immediately follows, audible activity. And remember, this is the state amplifying the sound of a train while a train is on the tracks. This is the same federal stalking conduct. That is called audible activity in relevant position, amplified by the state, pursuant to the same pattern of conduct. It is 6:29 a.m. 6:30 a.m. 6:35 a.m. 6:45 a.m. This is supposed to be another takeoff right here over the museum. Turning up the volume, 6:48 a.m. The people of the state remain in relevant position and are monitoring to this ongoing creation of audible activity by the state. And this is demonic activity as it's demonstrated by the state directly that is engaging in pacing by plane. Okay? That is P.O.C. 6:49 a.m. Using plane activity pursuant to the same demonic behavioral pattern, stalking with activity as I make a new move, and engaging in what is taking off. I put that in air quotes because the state's not going anywhere, first of all, and it's the same amplification of plane activity, and the state is stalking with activity as I make a new move right now. Move my arm. A plane is a sound loudly over the museum, taking off. Okay, that's P.O.C. This is the demon-possessed stalker, the public entity of the state of California, 6:52 a.m. $7:05 a.m. $7:07 a.m. Flying right here over me at the museum. It's not a takeoff, it's called amplification. Creating audible activity as though they are taking off when the state's not going anywhere. It's just repeatedly flying over me at the museum. This is the audible activity of Starbucks employees stalking with activity inside of that venue at 706 West Holt, and third-party group stalkers coming to Starbucks, stalking in relevant position, maintaining audible and light activity with that entity in directed light under a light source that is the fake sun. And this is what the state is doing while I am outside. This is the entity acting directly as opposed to what was the entity acting vicariously at a third-party facilitating venue while I'm inside of that venue. And by the way, while I'm inside of that venue at Starbucks, this is exactly what the state is doing outside and above it. Which I did capture in video as well. As you see the state stalking, flying over the Starbucks, flying over pursuant to what I'm doing. As I move it to a different location in the parking lot, and I'm capturing the fake sun. As a third-party group stalker, speaking on behalf of the entity, engages in the communication of a terrorizing threat, as I'm documenting the entity engaging in federal stalking, engaging in what is the maintenance of directed light at that entity. The state is engaging in stalking via aircraft, just like it does at every other venue. I happen to be outside in order to document it, all right, and witness it. It's 7:08 a.m. (7:14 a.m.) (7:19 a.m.) Amplification of plane activity as the state is just pacing back and forth in airplanes, not going anywhere. This is stalking by the entity. 7:20 a.m. at the Museum of History and Arts. 7:25 a.m. I want to document the state's directed light. This is impossible light activity that hits the face of the building. Now remember, the state's fake sun is directly on top of the museum as I documented on video. The state engaged in right now flashing, the appearance of what was flashing golden colored light. And this is light that is appearing on the face of the museum right here where I am on the, what is the north side of the museum. And it does so with simultaneity to my looking in a different direction. All right, so I've been looking at my phone in an upwards direction. The moment that I focus eyesight in a different direction at 7:25 a.m., directed light immediately appears. That's called stalking with light. That's a demonic behavioral pattern. And this is the same light activity, for example, that I showed you inside of Starbucks all day yesterday, where the state is flashing light all over the place. The only difference is that the state changed the color. This is golden colored light that appeared right here in front of me as I'm laying down at the Museum of History and Art with simultaneity to my focusing my eyesight in a different direction. That is the state stalking with activity. That is the demonic behavioral pattern, all right? And that is the P.O.C. All right, it is 7:26 a.m. at the Ontario Museum of History and Art. 7:40 a.m. Amplified audible activity as the state is stalking in relevant position, patrolling over the Museum of History and Art. That is pacing in planes. It's P.O.C. All right, what you will see is video of me capturing the state and doing what I've been capturing on my podcast, repeatedly flying over, and that is the state stalking using the incredible method of stalking in airplanes. All right, and this is with simultaneity to my activity on a communication device on the video of the internet. So as I described in the video, as the state is audibly heard, because the state is not going anywhere. The state is a stalker using planes and helicopters to stalk and create audible activity, which is to monitor in concert with the people of the state in an environment maintained for that criminal purpose. That is entirely demonic. So as the state flies over in an airplane, the state does so with simultaneity to my completing the task of putting my podcast in chronological order. The moment that I finish that, a plane is immediately heard. I do capture this on video. And so what you are witnessing is the state visibly stalking in an airplane, which is pursuant to the simultaneous creation of what is amplified audible activity of a plane. Meaning,
The state is, as I have described it, literally playing the tape of a sound of a loud plane that's amplified audible activity while the state is stalking, flying over me in relevant position in an airplane. And you see just where the state is stalking an airplane, this is where the state's fake sun is. This is also where the state is aiming directed light onto the surfaces, all right? And this is where the people of the state are also engaging in what is pacing. They are acting as one entity. They are not going anywhere. They maintain presence. As one individual that is stalking maintains presence where you are, the people of the state of California are maintaining presence as a group, not going anywhere. In other words, this is pacing by a group engaging in demonic stalking together. 7:50 a.m., that's P.O.C.
All right, license plate 6YBN399 8RNSB13 6GHS279 7JBP572 7KWF144 7AUB223 6LUV662 6UJE064 7JLC324 U.S.C.F.AM3. That is Omnitrans, also loitering in relevant position. All of them understand the people of the state of California are monitoring while I'm inside of a private space, while I'm inside of the bathroom. While the state is amplifying the sound of traffic, which is impossible audible activity, that's the state's pattern of conduct. While I just captured on video what is the state's stalking with light conduct as my shadow is surrounding me. While I am both, that's in the bathroom and it's on the outside as I stepped out. 8N02938, so I wanted to capture a video of that so that you can witness it. This is the state's pattern of conduct and this is demonic activity, and it is indiscriminate to your identity or the type of venue where you're at, because it's the state's pattern of conduct. That's why it's a venue, and you do not have any First Amendment rights engaging in relevant positioning with the state, because that's what it is. And the fake sun is right over my head right now at 8:42 a.m., not in the window of Starbucks located at 706 West Holt, which I would not be able to capture right over me as I aim my phone straight up, standing in front of Starbucks. And nor while I'm inside of that venue of Starbucks and looking out of the window, and the state's fake sun then moves from the front of the building to be on the opposite side above me in the window. Let me capture that on video for you. License plate 6GZF191, 6WJF860, 5FEL444, 8FED440, 6XXY875, 7YKM481, 8GEM406, 8LIN497, excuse me. These are demons and impossible light, just like I described in like a comic book that you would read, where it's describing action, where say Batman is hitting someone, pow, and then you see these lines that are communicating that action is ongoing. This is what is occurring with impossible light around these vehicles. These are demons who are crossing path while they are approaching what is the fake sun to my right, 5GDZ151. 6XXU223, and the impossible light is behind their vehicle toward me, 6AFX993. Using a bus, a student bus, 7NAK650, 8CZP176. A school bus to monitor. 8H01128. 8HZY134. City of Ontario in relevant position under the fake sun. License plate 557YE handicap. License plate 6EEA791. License plate 6WJU602. License plate 68292C3. City of Ontario again, 1515789. Let me see. Let me get some more license plates. 8RDV082. 8CRR248. And 7YCS992. Impossible light is moving all over these vehicles and on the asphalt wall. These are demon-possessed actors. That's why you have this impossible light. That's why you have what is the state's directed light. That's what that is, impossible light activity, while they are crossing path. It's a demonic environment, and this is demon possession. License plate 7SCN964, 8BNY084. And this is prosecuted as the terrorism by the entity. 8RIP534, psychopaths and sex offenders, very violent and perverted and desperate sex offenders that are stalking while you're in a bathroom. That's how perverted and obsessed they are. Driving their personal vehicles, driving commercial vehicles, all right? Driving vehicles of the municipality, City of Ontario. There's no difference. The state's pattern of conduct, the same exact fake sun that is not over 706 West Holt, because I'm not at 706 West Holt Starbucks. License plate 840YH, handicap. License plate 6MBZ207. 8VRA863. And this is the people engaging in pacing like the state does in planes. Pacing 5552382. 8WFD642. 8SJV793, 8EO8746, 9F10960, Omnitrans, and 8K31082. Impossible light while Omnitrans crosses path 1545797, engaging in terrorism and engaging in the same sexual violence while I'm in the private space as well. That's Omnitrans. 6K22490, 8WIG23, 7CKU634. 7VXW309, 8XAL349. I'm sorry, 439. License plate 15734S1, 6UTD574, 8BDU808. Primary care medical transportation, engaging in federal stalking, using that medical vehicle. Okay, the same demonic possession. Does not matter what you're driving. The state is still creating impossible light activity as that demon that is operating that vehicle is crossing path under what is the fake sun in that same environment, serving the entity's criminal purpose of targeting together. P.O.C. license 03106B3. A long line of light just moving across the, and by across I mean horizontally from that vehicle. And that's what it's supposed to appear as. It's from the vehicle. The state is aiming light, moving light with simultaneity to these demons who are operating the vehicles at the same time. This is what the state does, as I clearly captured on the sidewalks, as these group stalkers who are demons, who are monitoring, cross path. All right, the same thing I capture on buildings while it reaches up to the top of those buildings and these demons cross path. 8TTC687. That's what the state is doing on the asphalt, reaching to the depths. That's exactly what that demon driving the Ontario Police Department vehicle that I captured while he was driving past me, and that impossible light activity reaching across the asphalt, the sidewalk. 6BOG821. 7ZEY009. 8PXL783. That's exactly what those demons were surrounded by, as I documented, 96746S2 inside of Starbucks, while the state was providing literally the provision of what is an admission of, while that directed light, that impossible light, the same light that is surrounding these vehicles as they are driving east toward the fake sun that is right here over my head, and that directed light is all over inside of that Starbucks. So here goes the demon right now answering the call, 1496944 OPD, 6829C3, substantially similar, 8A29529. 6FVU 756. License plate 5REG193. 7EGB750. Okay, and it is 8:50 a.m. 2167. 2167. Let me see. I can't really see the rest of that character. This is 5YRM481, 6YRZ323, 7VCR808, 8KDK752, 8SOS529. Let me get this character on this vehicle. 2167, I guess EE3. 8GEN591. Oh, I'm sorry, 21675E3. It is 8:50 a.m. State's fake sun clearly documented over the building of the Starbucks at 706 West Hall. Let alone, I mean, I've captured it literally. It's supposed to be over B&G Plaza, which is east of this location. And at the same time yesterday, I was at 706 West Hall, and the state is maintaining the central presence over my head at both venues at the same time. That's called stalking with light. Impossible to capture. At that same location, that central location in alignment with me, directly over my head, directly over the building where I'm at, and then engaging in migration in real time to wherever I go from there, or remaining there, just like I showed at Starbucks, for as long as I remain there. 6LOD748, and that's what you saw where the state's fake sun remained over 706 West Holt Starbucks, and then remained in alignment with me as we traveled to Claremont, and the state kept its fake sun in alignment to me while we travel north up Euclid Avenue. This is after remaining. I'm sorry. That was from the library. It remains over the library for the duration of the day at 215 E.C. Street, literally from the morning until the evening. And then you have what is the movement of the state's light source from that direction north, remaining in alignment, remaining visible through the window of the vehicle while it travels north on Euclid Avenue, and then in the windshield as we travel on the 10 East. All right, and then it is alignment in alignment to me as I'm in the parking lot of Norm's Restaurant. License plate 6V95672. All right, and that is coming from remaining in alignment, remaining over the building, keeping directed light, which is also the hallmark of what the state is doing with light. And this is for the duration of the day, okay? This is P.O.C. The state was engaging in feigning a fake sun setting over 706 while I'm at Norm's Restaurant at the same time. 6KUS517. This is ongoing documentation of stalking with light, which is entirely demonic. That's what's wrong with the Ontario Police Department, who are stalking visibly, because those are stalkers, those are demon-possessed stalkers who engage in ongoing stalking, conspicuously and inconspicuously. Through traffic is conspicuous group stalking. Engaging in a traffic stop with a third party, both of whom are monitoring together, 8LOY650. That's called criminal facilitation by the state and third parties together. While that is conspicuous group stalking, and while they engage in inconspicuous stalking, as is also documented, hiding in dark parking garages and dark parking lots, on back streets, and engaging in that creepy stalking conduct. But it's very creepy. You're talking about demon-possessed stalkers who have no form. Everything about the Ontario Police Department, they are sex offenders, and they are very exceedingly concerned, and that is based on their demon possession, all right? That is indiscriminate, all right? They are stalking with the people of the state, engaging in criminal facilitation of the people to stalk with the state. This African-American male, license plate 7JHP603 AX65. I can't really see that one. That's a paper plate though. But anyway, 7PWV420. This is license plate, and this is. And let me be clear: the people of the state are pacing. This is an entity that's maintaining presence as a group. 8SOY201, 5GRE400, 48452 and 1. Just like the state is pacing in airplanes, not going anywhere, using third-party and state aircrafts to maintain presence and activity. City of Ontario using the dumpster truck, 1509110. That's audible activity, light activity. License plate, 5MTR180, 6ZIR378. Kinder Morgan, 93171R1, using that commercial vehicle to engage in federal stalking, which is terrorism, 7MHR200. 81371J1, 8SZN481, license 8SJA908. You're going to want to take a good look at that light activity I captured inside of the Ontario Public Health Clinics at 150 East Hope Boulevard, AmeriGas, using that commercial vehicle to engage in federal stalking. Milner, K099113, a Texas license plate. on the front of that Milner commercial vehicle. That directed light, I have multiple shadows that are appearing around me, and that's also in the bathroom, speaking to what is sexual violence as these demon-possessed stalkers are monitoring and stalking inside and outside of the bathroom. That's the sexual violence. That's the pattern of conduct. 6KBB797, 8AYT999, and directed light is that ongoing evidence for that sexual violence that the entity engages in. This is 8CDN793. Chafee Joint Union, that's a school bus being used for federal stalking, driving north on Euclid Avenue. License 7DXP337, 8PXU694, 6LPL759, 53888K1, 7M DK625. Amazon Prime, that is Veritiv, VERITIV, Veritiv Corp. That's a commercial vehicle. This is a means of crossing path, and let me be clear, Satan using every guise that it has at its disposal. Those driving their own vehicles, using their private homes, using their commercial vehicles. License plate is covered up on that demon's vehicle. Let's get 7MUS553. License plate. That's a paper plate. I can't really see that one. This is MBUTTA is a stalker with a bad weave. That's a demon-possessed stalker that needs someone to really do her hair, okay? She's not cool. It's not cute. Satan, there's nothing cool or cute about Satan. That's a stalker. And this is demon possession, and that's what I'm exposing. That's why I have multiple shadows everywhere that I'm going. This demonic light activity serves the criminal purpose of federal stalking by those who are demon-possessed. 5XNU465. 7PLL554. 6RBT762, 72757R2, I believe. 72757R2, yeah. 12812X2. All right, and AAA, they're readily identifiable, 58656T2. And this is exactly what the state was doing, pacing, okay? Because this is the entity in an environment serving a criminal purpose by that entity acting together. So they are pacing. They are maintaining presence. The people of the state maintain group presence while the state, as I documented, was pacing over me at the museum where the fake sun was over that venue of 225 South Euclid Avenue. Now here, as I've traveled north to the building next to it, 5UQU808, and the people were monitoring to that creation of audible activity using the train tracks of Amtrak while no Amtrak train is using those train tracks, using a train to pace back and forth, using planes pacing back and forth. And the state is creating audible activity and under also what is directed light, and while the fake sun is over that venue, over me, okay? This is what the people of the state of California were doing, maintaining presence. And I'm out here documenting now. And this is a license 7IMALA, understand a sex offender, all right? Engaging and monitoring while my panties are down, while my genitalia is exposed, while I'm engaging in private activity inside of the restroom, which they maintain real-time awareness of, engaging in the creation of audible activity, which is impossible to hear inside of the restrooms, as I have systematically documented, while you have what are shadows of your body surrounding you, speaking to that demon possession and that sex offender that is monitoring you. That's what that license plate, that third party, is engaged in. 6NFU883, the same. 5NXB539, the same. All right, this is the entity. And all of them are crossing path again under what is a fake sun, which is impossible. All right, so that is the pattern of conduct. This is what is grouping all of them together. There is no separation. They are engaging in the demonic pacing, which is terrorism, while these sex offenders are stalking with the state. Okay? That includes the Ontario Police Department. It is one entity. It's 8:59 a.m. The state's fake sun is not even in the direction of 706 West Holt, let alone being present over 2500 South Archibald Avenue, the Ontario Police Department, at that same central location above my head, after it remains for every venue that I have shown for the duration of a day. 8MOV832, 8UXW539, 7T60300, 8QUA456, 6LIM062, 08182U2. 8HQK410. 8LBA374, 8JFY837, 7NHY711. So let me tell you about some more those of who are demon-possessed. They're psychopaths. 8M RN763 is a demon-possessed individual. 8JBN 641, I believe. That I'm revealing what those who are demon-possessed. Whether they are driving a commercial vehicle or not, it does not matter. That's what the point is. It matters for purposes of identifying those who are engaging in a criminal system, which is revealing demon possession as they are practicing terrorism with the government. All right? It matters in that regard. But demon possession, that's what I'm exposing while they are engaging in criminal activity, unprecedented criminal activity. And this demon possession is amongst the government. All right? License plate. And this is called pacing, because they're doing it in directed light under a fake sun, maintaining presence while the state is amplifying noise like traffic inside of the bathroom. Why would you do that? Because you're monitoring and because you're a psychopath. 7VCF016, 8WDN176, also what is revealing about the state's pattern of conduct. 8FYR372, that's called amplification. That does not make hearing traffic in the bathroom realistic. The state is amplifying the sound of traffic. The state creates artificial activity, just like it did while I was kidnapped by this entity inside of West Valley Jail, where you are not going to hear the freeway. You're not going to hear that. A car driving by with license plate 8HUM017. You're not going to hear helicopters. You're not going to hear none of that. That's the state creating artificial activity inside of that cell while these same demons were engaging in kidnapping. And there's Satan answering right now. 1479638. That's the demonic behavioral pattern. That's San Bernardino Sheriff's Department answering the call as I discussed them. That's Satan. Understand that. Driving east on Holt Boulevard. That's the P.O.C. And understand that they were already stalking. 8UN4637. That's AMR. Satan. 7XLX231. That's the creation of light activity. That's vehicle 50772, I believe. Already at the corner right here, just stalking with the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department. San Bernardino Sheriff's Department was already present. They immediately crossed the street right here where I'm at with simultaneity to my discussing them. That's the demonic behavioral pattern. Okay? As you mention Satan's name, he comes running. All right, they are stalkers and they're monitoring every single word that I say and speaking to what is a consciousness of guilt. You're dealing with the demonic right now. 8GQS 992. That you're dealing with the demonic. That's why the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department just drove by right now at the same time that I'm discussing them. That's not a coincidence under a fake sun either. This is license 6GTN971, and that stalker driving the AMR ambulance, already stalking, already present, just like the state does in a helicopter. Not just arriving at the drop of a dime, pursuant to not being, the state is already stalking. They're already present, and they engage in sounding their sirens immediately. They were just sitting. That's a stalker, okay? Acting together, monitoring to the ongoing light activity and creation by third parties. So like I was stating, right before Satan is showing his own identity, driving by in the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department, they were engaging in rampant demonic activity as I documented and exposed on those facility cameras while this entity was engaging in kidnapping, because I am revealing the fact that they are demon-possessed stalkers. 8R34335, where the state kept its fake sun over that West Valley parking lot located at 9500 Etiwanda Avenue and not over the health building of 150 East Holt, nowhere near that, nowhere near 706 West Holt Boulevard, nowhere near 215 East C Street. And driving from that venue to keep a light source that is supposed to be the sun in alignment to you is called moving that light source. That is not the sun. That is maintaining that central position over your head where you go in a vehicle or on foot from 9500 Etiwanda Avenue in Rancho Cucamonga to 215 East C Street in Ontario. That's the state stalking, and that was by Ontario Police Department and the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department. Demon-possessed stalkers engaging in criminal obstruction of justice, trying to conceal the fact of what I am exposing, documenting 6 PVP 264 as they are engaging in that criminal and demented system with the people of the state. All right. And that's why you have the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department drive by as I'm speaking to the criminal and satanic conduct that they engaged in at West Valley. 6TWE885. That's why the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department arrives with simultaneity to that. 8WZN698. And that is pursuant to the same demonic behavioral pattern. That is the outward demonstration of the demon possession that the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department, that entire department, is plagued with. It is diseased with, okay? Just like the Ontario Police Department. 7YRV 284. 8MCA 759, and it's the same with the people of the state. 6STE 288. 6STE 288. 8JNX 935, 8UAT 652, and this is the same entity that was lining around the Starbucks to maintain presence. That's what that was. pacing around the building all day long and all evening while I remain at the Starbucks under the fake sun that was over that venue while I'm there. This is the people engaging in demonic stalking conduct as a pack. All right. While I captured what was clear demonstration of directed light in every single manner, my shadow appearing in the corner and the ceilings, double and triple shadows around as I'm walking through, showing you what is the directed light inside of the venue while those demons, demonic possessed stalkers enter and exit out of the venue, light on the ceiling, light, as I showed you, flashing on the bathroom walls, in between the bathrooms, inside of the depths of the cafe. That's demonic. All right. It is described as impossible because it is that which is unnatural. It is that which is necessarily being placed there as you are witnessing it, including what is the light source and the state's directed light. But you're speaking to it is impossible. It is unnatural because this is demonic. License plate BM5954, I believe. That's a paper plate. And that's a Latino male driving a white Honda Civic with a paper plate on it. 6ZIP382. License 7THW928, and they are all tethered to the same system, and it is an ongoing pattern of conduct. 8LQX426, 7BWL058, 7KFF895, 1562882, City of Ontario, 7UYD989, 8WSM553, 7ALM689, 58983E3, 8DSE552. All right. So you have what are psychopaths that are monitoring the documentation. They are sex offenders monitoring the documentation of the fact that they are sex offenders. That's a very violent sex offender. All right. In addition to the fact of the violence that is implicated based on the fact that it's an entity engaging in that sexual violence as a pack together. 54301P2. And every single last one of them engaging in that sexual violence. 8AWD381, 7RHV500. 8POJ856, everything about the manner with which they engage in the state's criminal pattern of conduct, they engage in criminal facilitation, everything about the manner with which that is characterizing their identity, having minor children, including minor children as they engage in the state's pattern of conduct, relevant to prosecution. A license plate 8RGB970. You use all of that to prosecute. And this is because of government's ability and the government's engagement in a criminal system, which is terrorism, while you have the people of the state engaging in what is the terrorism of an American citizen while they target together. Demons targeting together. All right? And this is the government that is engaging in this conduct. This is license 06621Y1. And these, understand this is the same entity. There's no difference. A different license plate, same entity. Same light activity, same environment, no different. This is group conduct. This is the demonic as I am revealing it in the natural. Okay, so you cannot see that demonic possession, but you can see it. It is deduced on the conduct and the demonic conduct that they are engaged in together, which is the absence of coincidence. This is a demonic system by the state. And it is in operation as you witness what is pacing by those wearing nurse scrubs inside of the safe facilitating venue of the Ontario Public Health Clinics. 8PKW566. And while these demons stream past, light activity streaming backwards toward me as they drive toward the fake sun, which is right here over my head. 8LWL181, which is, again, treating light as though it's a laser. Even if that was the sun that is visible, it would not be hovering over me. And secondly, light is not shooting backwards like a laser off of cars or onto the ceiling like you saw at Starbucks. This is demonic, 6BMS694. And these are demons telling you that they are demon possessed. It's a psychopath screaming for help, and I'm going to give it to them, all of them. 8NGJ338, 7NUA985. It's the outward demonstration of demon possession, and this is rampant demon possession. Rampant. 6BTY366 amongst law enforcement, amongst medical professionals, 9G33439. And the point is that it does not matter what your position is. It does not matter what your personal identity is. This is a pattern of conduct by a public entity. And you're seeing how vast it is. That's what you're witnessing, how vast it is. And at its core, this is public corruption, which at its core is caused by what is that of the demonic. It is absolutely satanic, everything that this group is engaging in together. Okay, which is inherently sexually violent, all right, as the satanic conduct is engaged in by people, all right, and that people includes government actors who are facilitating this system, all right. Sexual violence is inherent to that, All right, and that is an unprecedented level of sexual violence as the entity acts together by demons, those who are psychopaths, sex offending stalkers. 5YKF572, 6HUS 945, 7NUM496, 7XTP 896. 6FPA 617, 6YHD 622, GQL 322, 6FLT 925, Penske, license plate 8XEB 578, 8MAV 970, Omnitrans, loitering in relevant position, and on Hope Boulevard, 8W50640. Impossible light activity by this entire entity, including the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, stalking, listening to the documentation gathered about it, speaking to the fact that they are demon-possessed actors, kidnappers, and sex offenders, engaging in the same sexual violence, molestation with that which is light and unnatural, and never occurring. 55072B2, Omnitrans engaging in that same conduct and assault with directed light, acting in concert with the state. License plate 1545907, which is heavily documented by Omnitrans. License plate 7HUY418. Including the fake sun remaining over me inside of the window on that moving venue that is Omnitrans, while I travel to a whole other aspect of Hope Boulevard. 8JTK618, 8F70964, 6BPT141, 8VZT608, if you recall my documentation published, and I'm going to the San Bernardino Human Services Department, located at 1647 West Holt, nowhere near 706 West Holt, nowhere near 215 East C Street, 7JBX279. State's fake sun remains in the window of that bus, which is a moving venue, and using monitoring on the venue of the internet, in transit, on the roads, on the highways, using vehicles. All right, monitoring 8HAE443 and engaging in terrorism as the state's fake sun remains in the window while I'm on that moving venue, and the state's fake sun remains over me and in alignment to me while I'm at the San Bernardino Human Services Department at 1647 West Holt, which is, again, no way going to be visible from 706 West Holt as I capture it directly next to the Starbucks logo as I stand in front of that venue, directly over me as I'm in the window inside of that venue. 507 North Euclid Avenue, the same analysis applies. Economy Inn at 2301 South Euclid Avenue, the same analysis applies. All right, I've documented all around this area, and the state keeps its fake sun, including Los Angeles, by the way, and Orange County. 1085 L12, where the state was engaging in this conduct, keeping its light source. This is speaking to the central focus of what are demons that are engaging in targeting together. All right, and what else coexists with this fake sun? Because that's what it is. It's a light source. This impossible light activity, this directed light, which is occurring inside of venues. It occurs outside of venues. It is coexisting with the light source that remains over me. This is license plate 55736U2. It is revealing demonic activity of every single last one that I continue to document. 5RMR467, 8FOB958, 8VGD088, 7875824, 7VYV864, 8NSC643. And San Bernardino County engaging in ongoing provision of documentation while they were engaged in kidnapping, all right, but also engaging in crossing path under the fake sun this morning. That's what I'm documenting, San Bernardino County. 7KHU520, the same one that has the fake sun over their venue, aiming directed light inside and outside of their venue while they are engaging in the same behavioral pattern of molesting with directed light, acting in concert with the state, where that is not sunlight beaming off of the building, where the fake sun remains over, by the way, and inside on the ceilings. Directed light, while third parties happen to be entering and exiting. That's called the system. That's demonic behavior. 3GXN914, and the state's fake sun documented at that venue on more than one occasion. I've documented that San Bernardino Human Services Department pretty heavily, and you'll see what is the state's fake sun remaining there at different times of the day, and that same central location, and that coexists with what the state continues to do with its fake sun that remains over me everywhere else that I go. 8LHG817. BUCOLA, Ontario Police engaging in federal stalking, demon possession, indiscriminate, all right, sex offenders, doing the same thing while my panties are down, stalking under the fake sun. P.O.C, license plate 1VEK950, very violent sex offenders, psychopaths, and they will be removed from law enforcement. 8HZZ594. 7LGY297, 7TQH500, 5NXF437, 8JSZ507, BKDS223. It is 9:14 a.m. All right, that is audible activity that I captured on video by a third-party group stalker engaging in the provision and the communication of a threat using a motorcycle. And I want to make sure I get this license plate. Do we have one? No license plate. No license plate. Okay. All right. I did capture Satan on a motorcycle. All right, because that's what you're looking at. You're witnessing demon possession. And this is the fake sun that's over me while you are using your motorcycle as a means of audible activity while you maintain awareness. Let me speak to what is license plate 8PYPO45 7FHA848, engaging in that same communication of a threat while they're monitoring me, which is a threat to my life. And that's what is seen in that video as that third-party group stalker on that motorcycle is raising his middle finger while he's engaging in threatening my life, monitoring with the state under a fake sun in directed light. Okay, that's a sex offender. Engaging in hostility to documentation of their criminal activity. All of them engaging in that together, including Starbucks. Pattern of conduct doesn't stop. Okay? All right, license plate 8YJZ252. BUCOLA, cross the path again. 37914U2. License 93144W1. License 5ZGT893. AU9, I can't really see that, that's a paper plate. But I went to go get to see if I can observe a license plate on that motorcycle, and there's no license plate on it. But you do have what is the state's fake sun that moves from the side of the Ontario Ovit, of the health center where I'm standing on the side of the street. As I move toward that motorcycle, that third party, and he engages in the creation of activity as he is moving under the state's light source to raise his middle finger, hostile to what is documentation of his criminal activity, which is going to be attributed to every single last one. And let's also get more direct evidence against the entity as the state flies over the intersection in a helicopter under the fake sun. U.S.C. engaging in P.O.C. 8 VAS 865. right, and these demons driving by are going to be documented. That's an unlawful threat intending to terrorize as you are monitoring with the state. That's attributed to third parties who are demon-possessed actors. They are acting collectively. All right, so you're talking about flipping me off as you're documenting criminal activity that's a threat to your life by government as you're acting vicariously. You're talking about engaging in terrorism while a light source remains over your head while you want to engage in monitoring with the state. That is also flying over me by helicopter, which is the pattern of conduct. 7FOB171 engaging in that threat with the state. 7373 7E2 acting with the state. 7GEK018 7987 8D3 acting with the state. 7RSG 954 34456K2 97916X2 8LZC 656 8WCV 385. That is 38596E3, and that helicopter activity is what they are all monitoring to under the fake sun. 6PNT 021, 8TIF 380, 6RRM 220, M689LO. Alrighty, 6YNR 975, 7NCX 491, 6CDA 736. Omnitrans engaging in the same terrorism with the state that's stalking under a fake sun with directed light with the helicopter, and this group stalker honking his horn when I'm not even in front of his car. License 8CZN832. License MAHANT 87212H 98371K2 8AQG 792 7YJL 990 8UZU 578. McCarthy is monitoring, crossing path, and threatening with the state. That is flying over in helicopter, flying in a circle. Again, the outward demonstration of demon possession. That's the state acting directly, telling you about the fact that they're not just a stalker, but that it's demon possession, which is also being demonstrated under the environment, which is stalking in a helicopter under what is a fake sun. Okay, it is 9:21 a.m. and that is the state and third parties intentionally, with knowledge of the documentation, intentionally communicating a terrorizing threat as I am documenting the pattern of conduct, including mentioning the fact that that third party engaging in what is life-threatening criminal activity, and then demonstrating hostility by flipping his finger, which is activity creation under the fake sun and in directed light. So you are monitoring, and your method of monitoring is harassment and the communication of a threat, which by virtue of your identity is with the intent to terrorize. And then moments later, the state flies over in a helicopter where you are under what is the fake sun that is remaining adjacent to me right here over at the 150 East Holt Boulevard, nowhere near over 706 West Holt, also not over what is 150, I'm sorry, the Ontario Open Family Community Library, or every other venue where I have documented. It's not over anywhere possible economy in 2301 Southeast Avenue. 8JQF018, for example. 8GHY 725. 8HLP 333. 8VRG 335, 8EOG 497, 6HJX 919, 7CXK 074. Alrighty, you also have the removal of any coincidence as I continue to document what is the ongoing stalking by the state in helicopter and airplanes under what is a central presence of a light source. 8GUB 542. 4HGL 544. Every single last one is prosecuted for that. That's terrorism. PRML1 5NAC 951 8URT 167 16240A1. All right, and demons are patrolling on the sidewalk over here while I'm on the side of the venue, and that's a San Bernardino County employee engaging in federal stalking, maintaining presence as I am outside on the side of the building, and that's called maintenance of relevant positioning. It's an African-American female wearing a large hat, a blue skirt, and a striped blue and white shirt with a strappy purse across her chest. She's monitoring. She works for the county. She's maintaining presence. That's group stalking. She's got long dreads, it looks like. It is 9:23 a.m. That's exactly what they do at the bathroom. They were stalking inside of the venue. My shadow is surrounding me. All right, this is the light activity, first of all. The fake sun is over the building, second of all. The state is clearly stalking by planes, as I documented before. And again, after exiting, that's the absence of coincidence. That's also the hallmark. And what you have is the stalking in the path, literally crowding around, standing around the building, creating loud noise, in addition to the state amplifying the sound of traffic inside of that restroom space. That's the state's creation of activity. That's the people monitoring with the state inside of a private space. That's the sex offender. That's the obsessive stalker. That's the psychopath. It is 9:24 a.m. 23877V2. That is, let's see, license plate. And here come more demons working with the health public clinics. As you name Satan, he comes running. That's the demonic behavioral pattern. Now they're all taking a break and walking around. They're under the fake sign. It's activity creation. All right, that is maintenance of presence. And by the way, inside of their employee building, you've got shadows surrounding you. Those are demons wearing scrubs, demons on their break, maintaining presence. 85887U1, 7CJY205, 3UXD493, 8L97986, 04816B3, paper AX14D40, 80639K1, N93315, 8R29761, 7ZSG109, 7SGB109, excuse me. And all of these demons that cross path, because that's what they're doing. They're crossing path, they're maintaining presence. This is pacing by an entity to maintain presence as a group. 7YWR584, impossible light. Impossible light activity as they cross path. This is American Eagle towing. I don't see any license plate. 7ZYY125, 7CMG611, BS41W11, paper plate. It's 9:26 a.m. USPS crossing path again. Loitering in relevant position under the fake sun, sitting at a traffic light. That is stalking by the state. That's a state actor. Also engaging in terrorism while the state is flying over me in a helicopter. The absence of coincidence. USPS acting intentionally. Doing so under what is a fake sun and directed light. The absence of coincidence. USPS acting intentionally. Using nothing but a USPS vehicle. The same demon possession, and they are a state actor. 7NJR234. Engaging in federal stalking. License 6JBJ291. 7LAS148. Also engaging in kidnapping. Engaging in this same federal stalking conduct while the state's fake sun remained over the vehicles that I was transported to by the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department, who were engaging in kidnapping, 39106K2, and USPS engaging in the pattern of conduct in that regard as well. That is the state engaging in kidnapping by USPS. 6WVW853, 8RLN731. And specifically, it was around the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, where the state kept its fake sun over that courthouse, as I was transported to that venue, and as I remained there all day long. And then in the evening around after 4 p.m., they would keep me there all day, and they would drive me, and the state's fake sun remained over that court, and it remained over the vehicle as they drove me back to West Valley. 81993U1, and USPS engaging in federal stalking with the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department and the people of the state who were monitoring the entire time. All right, San Bernardino Sheriff's Department engaging in federal stalking while engaging in kidnapping. And also engaging in what is that inside of their venue with the inmates, the people of the state of California, engaging in what is demonic activity. This is a demonic system. 8ATE938, 8TGU295 in Omnitrans crossing path again, 54617Y1, Omnitrans license plate, 1234516, license 11491D3. 7XJR802, 73084D2. ADT commercial, license 01026F3. In relevant position, vehicle, it looks like it's got 292496. Using this commercial vehicle to maintain presence, vicariously acting on behalf of the state that is stalking by plane and helicopter and law enforcement, and what is under a fake sun and impossible light that is surrounding all around. That is the use of that commercial vehicle, an ADT commercial, to be attributed and attached to and documented as engaging in that conduct and acting with the Ontario Police. This is an act of terrorism by ADT commercial. License plate 1510640, P.O.C. 1873 is the vehicle number, and they are stalking. All right, using their police uniform as form for coming to tell me to get out of the street. Hi, what's your name?
Jack, how are you?
Jack?
Zach.
Oh, Zach?
Can we step over here and talk?
Zach? What's your badge number, Zach?
80197. Come on
80197. What do you want from me?
Somebody's calling and saying you're in the street, you're going to get hit by a car.
I'm not in the street.
That looks like the street to me.
No. They're not driving in this area.
Sweetheart, somebody can hit you. Can't you just stand right
I
here?
can, that's fine. But what is your badge number?
80197.
80197, and you didn't know I was already here, right?
No, somebody called.
Oh, somebody called. A third party. Okay,
Yes.
got it. Got it. Okay.
You're okay?
Oh, I'm good. I'm
Okay,
documenting you. Have a good one. He's under the fake sun. That's audible activity. This is the police using their form, which is a police uniform. All right. It's the same thing. You have no reasonable suspicion. You have no probable cause. You are engaging in what is federal stalking. And understand, referencing a third party where you have zero form by third parties who are monitoring with the state. But that was the state engaging in the communication of a threat while I'm documenting the third parties. I want to be clear. That's a pattern of conduct by the state. I mean, by the law enforcement specifically. I want to document that. You're listening to what he's referencing. Someone called. You're referencing a third party. They engage in criminal summoning. That's how this is documented. As you're documenting them, this is every single last one of them that I'm documenting are engaged in criminal summoning. I have isolated it to specific venues such as Starbucks that engaged in criminal summoning, which is also attributed to the entirety of that entity. But let me be clear, while the police that are engaging in federal stalking reference a third party as calling the police, while the third parties are monitoring, that's called criminal summoning. That's a pattern of conduct. License plate 8HNR257 6EYY543 7AFU 738 8WSC402 2842182 4320R2. All right, and the reality of the situation is that the Ontario police are engaging in federal stalking, knowing exactly what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, as I'm doing it, including inside of the bathroom, all right? And using their police uniforms as their form for approaching, okay? 5ZVH290, when they are outside of the bounds of the law. That is the exercise of fictitious authority, all right? 8FPJ529. That's how the entity engages in the pattern of conduct. And they do so together while third parties are monitoring with the state. U.S.C. FAM already crossed paths. She's crossing path again. License 8JTM280. 8KDU 96. I can't really see that one. 6DAP382. And that is attributed to ADT commercial. While I'm documenting third parties, not a coincidence, Ontario police immediately comes and it uses their police uniform as form, which they don't have, to engage in what is a threat with the intent to terrorize under a fake sun and in directed light. License plate 9NA. That's some out-of-state plate. That's City of Ontario. And let me tell you how demons operate. City of Ontario is crossing path. They engaged in kidnapping and criminal summoning of the Ontario Police Department on June 18th. They're going to be prosecuted for that. The municipality is going to answer for that. But these are demons that, for right now, because they don't see the result, they are engaging in enjoying that. That's the demonic feature. That's what's ongoing right now. That's what they're doing while they're crossing path and monitoring. Okay, 8R62688. Ontario Police loitering in relevant position, heading what is east on Hope Boulevard. This is the conspicuous stalking by the state. It is currently 9:32 a.m. 8LVD070. And by the way, while I'm documenting the Ontario Police Department who are stalking in relevant position using their police vehicles as light, and the state's fake sun is clearly over me while I am in the parking lot of 706 West Holt, and then it remains over my head as I go to Holt Boulevard and I get those stalkers using their vehicles as light activity, and the state's fake sun is nowhere near that position as I'm capturing it over my head at that venue. It's right here over the 150 East Hope Boulevard. And that is the direct evidence against the people and the Ontario Police Department who are engaging in federal stalking and using your police uniform for form, which they don't have, but this is revealing the pattern of conduct. This is how you prosecute and identify what is public corruption while they are operating outside of the bounds of the law and using their very identity, their very positions to engage in criminal conduct, all right? You don't have any third party that has any credibility. The third party that whoever called, okay, which is nothing but audible activity, is monitoring. They're monitoring together. License plate of that Ontario Police 14687942879, I believe, and impossible light activity streaming backwards all the way across the asphalt as that Ontario Police vehicle crosses path. That's demon possession, and that is the same exact stalking conduct. While the fake sun is over 150 East Holt and not over 706 West Holt, as I documented, while Ontario Police Department were also documented stalking in relevant position on Hope Boulevard using those police vehicles as light activity so that third-party group stalkers such as 8TIJ925, 8LVD070, 7GHG343 can monitor. All right? Monitor more effectively via communication devices. This is federal stalking, 18 U.S.C. 22618. This is license plate 7TLN590. License 61982RP. That's a truck, a large truck. US.27935. VIN HJ15038. License plate on a different vehicle. 7RML367. 8JJE122. 7KOL929. All right, so with regard to the targeted individual and documenting an entity that engages in that pattern of conduct of criminal summoning, this is what I documented Tracy Banks engaging in from 2018 up until about 2019. A series of engagement in the state's pattern of conduct of criminal summoning and acting in concert with the state's pattern of conduct of facilitation, because that's what criminal summoning is about, while ongoing federal stalking. Federal stalking is ceaselessly underway. And criminal summoning is about providing outward form for the state acting directly. That's the ambulance, that's the fire department, that's the police, all right? And while they are monitoring together, and it appears as though they are present to provide medical service, it appears as though they're present to put out a fire, it appears as though they're present to, for example, get me out of the street while I'm documenting federal stalking, or to do criminal summoning would also be just standing around a third party where it appears as though the police are focused on another individual, but they're standing in relevant position, the ongoing environment is present, and the police are engaged in an ongoing pattern of being everywhere that you're at, ubiquitous presence, okay? And while they are engaging in appearing outwardly as though they're focused on something else. That's demonic, that's a demonic feature, and that is the pattern of conduct. Criminal summoning, even when you're seeking to look on the outward form as though they're focused on someone, that's what the traffic stop is about. That's what surrounding third parties on the sidewalk are about, all right, while they are monitoring together, and it's called criminal facilitation of the entity. And this is what I documented Tracy Banks engaging in, multiple acts of criminal summoning, her and her son, Eric Corey Spencer, and they engaged in what is literally attempts to kidnap while they engaged in repeated acts of kidnapping. Well, it's actually Tracy Banks. Eric Corey Spencer was there on two different occasions, acting in concert with the Ontario Police Department, who were actively engaging in federal stalking. The state's fake son was over the venue of Woodside Senior Apartments, and the state was stalking by plane and helicopter over the Woodside Senior Apartments, as I've already documented and published. The state was doing the same thing over my car, fake son over my car, and helicopter plane activity right there where my car was at Vine and G Street, everywhere that I'm at. This is already the established pattern of conduct, but I want to speak to what the Ontario Police Department just did right now. That is understanding what is form, all right? And they don't have any form in reality. I am speaking to understanding the pattern of conduct where criminal activity is underway by the entirety of that entity, referencing a third party that is monitoring, that is being documented, that is hostile to that documentation. While the ongoing environment is present, while he is present while the state's fake son is right over my head, he is present while I happen to be documenting what a federal stalking by his agency that has engaged in repeated acts of kidnapping, by the way, and federal stalking, documented, published criminal activity. This is the absence of coincidence, and this is a long-term documented pattern of conduct, specifically by this police department, but this is the state's pattern of conduct in general. 8 MSS 738. And so you have what is, again, when you're breaking it down, someone called, you're referencing a third party and or state actor that have zero credibility, they're monitoring. That pattern of conduct is established. All right, so you're talking about where a target individual is prosecuting a state and the state wants to argue, oh no, we weren't stalking, we were answering a radio call because somebody called the police or what. Understand the pattern of conduct, all right? They're monitoring, and this is public corruption. So where you are establishing those objective aspects of the pattern of conduct, there is no form, and that's what I'm showing you. And that is documentation showing the ongoing P.O.C, where the police department that are engaging in federal stalking, heavily documented and engaging in that, this is already established, using their police uniforms, their positions as non-existent form, while the pattern of conduct is underway in that environment that is ongoing and existent, as you are documenting also, which is the absence of coincidence, what is federal stalking. That is the P.O.C, okay? And so I want to make sure that I clarify that, because that is how the entity operates. There is no form, and you do not have any argument. There is no presumption of legitimacy by any level of government. This is public corruption, all right? And so the entity is accustomed to saying, well, I was reporting to this residence because, we had a break-in. And so that's why we were there, and that's why our police lights were there. We don't even know who this alleged target individual is. We don't even know her name. We were engaging in something else which was of major importance, all right? That's P.O.C. That's the pattern of conduct. You are looking at the elements which are underway, using their vehicles as light activity. And understand, he didn't turn on his police vehicles. Let me clarify. He did not turn on the lights on his police vehicle. What he did is he is in relevant position while the state's fake sun is right over my head. Okay, while the people of the state are patrolling in traffic, and I'm telling you how the directed light is streaming across every time one of these demons are crossing path. That's the light activity. Okay, you're looking at different methods of the same criminal conduct. It's a light activity. So no, he did not turn on his police lights. Ongoing light activity exists and ongoing activity. The state just flew over in a helicopter. Are you kidding? This is what I'm saying. There is no form. You have to take a step back and look at the big picture, because this is a demonic system and they are relying on form. And I'm telling you, they don't have it. 8PDJ 577. And that was literally criminal activity by an Ontario Police Department. All right, referencing a third party that is engaged. You can make up even if a third party actually did call him. Understand that they don't need to, because they're stalking and they're monitoring. They know exactly what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, and where I'm doing it. But even if a third party actually did call, that third party is engaging in federal stalking. This is the criminal system that I'm documenting, and it is there is no exception to that. It's not stopping. There's no exclusion from that. This is why the environment is being maintained, because it's an expansive system. All right. So you have what is a pattern of conduct that is being established. There is no argument stating that, oh, well, we were they're not going to use my terminology of relevant positioning, because the state's position would be that this doesn't exist. I don't know what you're talking about. So you're talking about being being near the targeted individual alleging federal stalking by an entity. And by the police, all right? And this is how the police engage in that. And the reason why I'm focusing on this is because I want to be clear as to what you just witnessed as to what is criminal summoning that's going against the whole entity. Every single last one of them. The targeted individual doesn't have to know the name of whoever the police want to allege summon them, all right? The City of Ontario were engaged in federal stalking on June 18th, 2021 at third-party facilitating venue, the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. The Ontario Police Department, S.I.I.S, is identifying the Ontario Museum of History and Art as summoning the police. That's the audible activity out of her mouth under the fake sun at that venue, okay? Whether that is actually the case or not, these are liars. You're dealing with demons, all right? Whether the museum called, that is not something for the target individual to have to decipher. And what I'm stating is, I documented the City of Ontario. They were engaged in federal stalking. They were also engaged in what is criminal summoning. They're monitoring with the police who are already in relevant position. That is going down as documentation of criminal summoning by the City of Ontario, regardless of the fact that the Ontario Police Department say out of their mouths that the Ontario Museum of History and Art summoned them, which was never verified. They just engage in arresting me and stating that they have a fictitious warrant referencing a fictitious prosecution, which was kidnapping while they were engaging in federal stalking. All right, referencing some third party about summoning them is the pattern of conduct. You're talking about an entity that's engaging in ceaseless criminal activity, referencing those who are acting with it as their form for engaging in that criminal activity. You don't have any form. The elements are being maintained, and that's what you're looking at. Light activity, relevant positioning, and what is a group audible activity, ongoing activity creation. And so that is what I capture right now with this Ontario police officer talking about, oh, he's concerned about my safety. Are you okay? Get out the street. Someone called. He already knows what I'm doing. He's engaged in federal stalking. That is the pattern of conduct. And that is a well-established aspect of the pattern of conduct. While, by the way, that particular agency has engaged in repeated acts of kidnapping, all right, while federal stalking was underway. All right, 8LET440 is engaging in terrorism with the state that is continuously flying over in a circle in a helicopter right now. 4URH518, all right? That is the absence of any coincidence. The Ontario police were engaging in the same pattern of conduct that is continuously underway. It does not stop. Nothing that is coming out of the mouth of a minion wearing a police uniform is going to provide any form for what is the ongoing environment and stalking by the state. In other words, the Ontario Police Department literally just engaged in conspicuous stalking, conspicuous federal stalking, using the form of what is their police uniform upon some reference of some summoning, which is criminal summoning, because that's the form that they're using. So that will be used against them. That's your admission of the reason why you're present in relevant position, conspicuously engaging in the pattern of conduct that is established. While, by the way, the state is engaging in that ongoing stalking conduct of stalking via light source and stalking via helicopter. That's not separate from what the Ontario police did. They don't have any form. It is 9:44 a.m. That's 9:42 a.m. I'm looking at the state flying over this intersection in a circle via helicopter, okay? And that has continued. It didn't stop. Just because the state was audibly doing it and I'm referencing it and captured it on video, the state is always stalking, all right? So 8M22956, and that is criminal summoning as to the entirety of that entity. All right, so this is the ongoing pattern of conduct that is inherent to what the state is engaging in with regard to federal stalking. The police are supposed to be the strong arm. They are the intent to terrorize while the entity is engaging in federal stalking. That's what it's supposed to be. All right, I documented that officer's name and badge number. It is currently 7K75762. It's currently 9:44 a.m. That's license plate 7K75762. 6ZFG781. Seven ZYN567 00144G3 8X63567 8TWG267 7MXE197 8DCM879. It is 9:45 a.m. 6GRE920 27284W2. Enterprise US.2022631. Impossible light activity as that commercial vehicle crosses path. License 8KDE758. The ongoing direct evidence against the Ontario Police as well. State actor, AMR group stalker, crossing path again with 7REE635, 8JEY837, 5LUC808. Vehicle 12277, impossible light while they drive north on Euclid Avenue. License 70434V2. All right, those are demon-possessed actors driving an ambulance, okay? The same demonic entity, the same public entity engaging in federal stalking. It is 9:46 a.m. And again, the state's fake sun is over 150 East Holt. And this is coexisting with impossible light that is on the surfaces as these group stalkers, these are third parties and state actors, are crossing paths. This is called patrolling. They are acting as an entity in the environment, where also the state is also flying over in helicopter, okay? And as I also document, the state remains stalking by aircraft. That's what I documented on my podcast this morning. That is ongoing. All right, the state's fake sun is nowhere near 706 West Holt, and I would never have been able to capture it in the window of that venue, let alone next to the logo as I stand in front of the entrance doors, were this actually the sun that's right now over here at 150 East Holt Boulevard. License 7NMA018. That is also the direct evidence speaking to what the Ontario Police Department were engaging in, referencing some other actor, state or third-party actor, and under the guise of being concerned about my safety, getting out the street. They're engaging in federal stalking. And that's called form. That is the guise under which the police engage in federal stalking, all right? Doing so conspicuously, even through focusing on third parties in relevant position to you while maintaining that environment. License plate, 8CZJ399. CUV667. 93282Z1 34598L2, I believe. Yeah. License 6HDB965. This is San Bernardino. This is the fire department. 1387196, driven by a white female. It says CPM1. That's the same state actor using a different kind of vehicle. 5JSK987. 8WDZ950. 396RZ handicap. 5XLL545. 41996B2. 8LWW084. 6UDB849, I believe. Ontario Police at Euclid. 8WDZ950. Ontario Police at the intersection of Euclid and Holt, stalking conspicuously at a traffic light under the fake sun. All right, this is ongoing P.O.C. MSTC 141. All right, and they let me just clarify. First of all, I've captured the state's fake sun over their police department first of all. But second of all, they have engaged in numerous acts of kidnapping. They have zero credibility, meaning they don't even have the convenience of acting like they have form. Even though you're dealing with psychopaths, that's exactly what I just documented with the police officer. That's exactly what I documented. That's a psychopath, though, not dealing with reality. The evidence is clear, and they have zero form. That's why they have engaged in what is blatant acts of kidnapping, 73084D2, and what is already established fact as to what was a non-existent prosecution. Shannon Faye Hurty engaged in a fictitious prosecution on January 17, 2020, engaging in what was an arraignment. It was not actually arraignment. This is why the repeated acts of kidnapping by the Ontario Police Department on September 25th from third-party facilitated venue economy and where I heavily documented federal stalking. Planes, helicopter, fake sun, fake moon, directed light. Amplified audible activity inside of that hotel room while I remained there, kidnapping on September 25th, all right, and stating a warrant in what is a fictitious prosecution. And upon that kidnapping, that is why, that's Satan, that's audible activity, that's Satan. And that is why they referenced that fictitious prosecution, and that's 8BEM092, while the state flies over in a helicopter. This is Satan listening to me, and this is the direct evidence against the Ontario police who have zero form, okay? They reference this case having a warrant in a case that doesn't exist, and that's why they tried to arraign me a second time while I was kidnapped inside of West Valley, where they kept me from September 25th until December 4th. License 1446384. That's why the state just flew over my head in helicopter while I'm reciting those facts about the Ontario police. That's why that group stalker, that's demon possession, revs his engine right here next to me and drives past. That's why the fake sun is right here over me, because these are demons who are listening to that. They're listening to that. Those are facts. It's documented fact. And they engage in kidnapping by referencing a fictitious prosecution. They are acting in concert with the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. Shannon Faye Hurty is a criminal providing form for what was kidnapping by the Ontario Police Department. And then that same agency engages in acting as though they have form, stating that someone called them for me to get out of the street. They're monitoring and they're stalking, and their numerous acts of kidnapping is the direct evidence of that, in addition to that ongoing stalking conduct that they are engaging in concert with the state that just flew over my head in a helicopter. That's the absence of coincidence. So you're dealing with demons who literally provide ongoing additional evidence. The more and more that I speak, the more and more that their demonic impulses are made manifest, because that's what that is. All right, you're looking at what is the personification of that demonic entity while it's revving its engine right here, sitting at a red light. All right. As I'm talking about that kidnapping, you're witnessing demonic activity. At the same time that the helicopter flies over me at this corner of the intersection, while I'm speaking to what is stalking by the Ontario Police Department. That's the absence of coincidence, okay? And so this is what I'm stating. That is also the common sense aspect of what is the absence of any form whatsoever. The Ontario Police Department is fully established as engaging in federal stalking. They are demon-possessed stalkers who have engaged in numerous acts of kidnapping pursuant to what was an entirely fictitious, entirely fake case. That is why they kidnapped on September 25th, referencing a warrant that does not exist. And then when they kidnapped me and I'm remaining inside of West Valley, they tried to duplicate arraignment. I was already arraigned by Shannon Faye Hurty, supposedly. I sat there. West Valley drove me to that jail on January 17, 2020. That's published information. It's already published. And not only that, they published it on their website when they were engaging in criminal defamation, acting like it was a real prosecution. Even on that day, it wasn't. All right, but that's documented. My own documentation and that which I got from the court website while they were engaging in criminal activity, outwardly acting like they're a court engaging in the ordinary duties of the court justice system, and they weren't. That was published information of the criminal activity that they were engaging in. And as the Ontario Police Department engaged in repeated acts of kidnapping, referencing that fictitious prosecution, which is why they repeatedly tried to restart that fake case, because there was never an arraignment. And so when I did not submit to a duplicate arraignment, knowing very well that I was subject to an arraignment on January 17th by Shannon Faye Hurty, who was at that time engaging in a fictitious prosecution, that's when they just keep me kidnapped inside of the jail, just like they did on June 18, 2021. Referencing again that fictitious prosecution as a warrant for an arrest upon federal stalking at the museum. Under what was the state stalking via helicopter and directed light and the fake sun over the museum. And then they reference a fictitious warrant and a fictitious prosecution. All right. And just like I stated, City of Ontario crossing path again, that's demonic. All right. They're listening to it. They're listening to every word that I say. And this is going toward their prosecution. So like I said, the demonic aspect of this entity, it really cannot help itself. It is also the direct relevant context to what I'm speaking to. As I literally tell you the reality, this demonic entity is demonstrating it before your very eyes, okay? And so you have what is the Ontario Police Department engaging in referencing of the same fictitious prosecution on June 18th, monitoring with the City of Ontario that intentionally just crossed paths again as I happen to be talking about that while the helicopter is flying over. That's the demonic actor, all right? That's aware of every word that I'm uttering as I talk about the Ontario Police Department that just engaged in what is form for conspicuous federal stalking, telling me to get out of the street. All right, when they are engaged in criminal activity, repeated acts of kidnapping. And so on June 18th, just like I've already documented, on June 18th, when I am kidnapped at the museum by the Ontario Police Department, who already knew that I was sleeping at the museum, engaging in what is form, referencing some other actor as summoning them. This is called criminal summoning. This is the system in operation. And then they engage in referencing a fake warrant and a fake case. That's why on the date of arrest, June 18th, on the paper ID, because they didn't give me a plastic ID at West Valley, because they had every intention from the beginning to kidnap me inside of the ward. That's why they didn't give me a plastic ID for general population. They gave me a paper ID that said general population. And guess what the admission on that paper ID says? I already published it. The criminal intent on that date of arrest, June 18th, where you're citing you got a warrant, and they want a video court, VA, video arraignment. They sought to have me arraigned a duplicate time, just like they did on September 25th. All right? After I was already arraigned on January 17th. Why are you trying to duplicate arraignment? Because there was never a real case. That's why you're repeatedly trying. And they didn't just do it on June 21st, trying to have me submit to a duplicate arraignment. They did it on the 22nd and on the 23rd. Repeatedly trying to get me to submit to a duplicate arraignment. After Shannon Faherty, as a matter of documentation, court records, all right, which is criminal activity, published criminal activity by that court, a state facilitating venue where the state's fake son sat over that venue while I was kidnapped there. All right, it's a state facilitating venue, all right, where the state aims its directed light onto the grounds inside of the hallways of that court, which is not light activity that would be occurring from the sun. The state is engaging in that conduct of directing light at an angle through the windows onto covering all of the floor space. That's what happened on February 18th when Lisa Rogan engaged in kidnapping upon what was criminal defamation while she was participating in a fictitious prosecution. All right, so I'm just going to be clear. I'm going to point out the totality of what the Ontario Police Department is faced with. They don't have any form, and I'm going to prosecute it. And since they want to reference third parties and state actors as their form for engaging in what is a terrorizing threat, all of them will be prosecuted for that together. All right, and it is the absence of coincidence that the state is engaging in flying over my head as I mentioned that very, very damning evidence, as I remind you about that which I've already published. That is also the absence of coincidence. This is demonic activity, and Ontario Police Department are demon actors, all right, engaging in multiple documented acts of kidnapping, criminal activity by demon-possessed stalkers, okay? That's what they are, and that's what that was that I documented by the Ontario police officer, who has zero form because the Ontario police engaged in multiple acts of kidnapping. Has been, first of all, number one, because they are heavily documented engaging in the pattern of conduct of federal stalking. And number two, equally heavy, is the numerous documented acts of kidnapping by that agency, all of whom are demon-possessed stalkers. Which, by the way, at no time of the day is the actual sun over 2500 South Archibald Avenue, as I captured while I was at that venue on August 17, 2021, where the state's fake sun remained directly over me in alignment to me everywhere that I went that day, but also at that Ontario Police Department, which is the direct implication of that entire agency, and also the outward demonstration of that agency suffering from what is demon possession, because that's what it's proof of. That's what they're telling you about. And that's exactly what they're telling you about as the helicopter flies over my head, as I speak about the kidnappers that are the Ontario Police Department, as I talk about the multiple acts of kidnapping by that agency, who was monitoring with the state upon referencing some third-party state actor about me being in the street, while they're all monitoring together. And that is published information, that is fact. That's not context about demonic activity, which you want to or don't want to reference or acknowledge. It doesn't matter. That's fact. They engaged in referencing a warrant that doesn't exist, referencing a prosecution that does not exist. It does not exist. It's criminal conduct. They made up a warrant. They made up a case. That's why they were trying to restart one that did not exist, trying to have me submit to a duplicate arraignment every time they referenced a warrant pursuant to this fictitious prosecution. The People v. Spencer, Mary Wendy Victor 2000640. And that's exactly what they did. As I did not submit, because I know the law and I know my rights, I did not submit to a duplicate arraignment, and they engaged in just keeping me kidnapped in jail. having no right to. Not driving me to any courthouse. Not driving me to any court whatsoever, just keeping me in jail, federal stalking underway, demonic activity, which is terrorism by the Sheriff's Department and the inmates, that is the people of the state, while I am kidnapped inside of 9500 Etiwanda Avenue, West Valley, all right? While the state is aiming directed light inside of that unit, every unit that I'm inside of, they got multiple shouters, just like I showed this morning, inside of 150 East Holt Boulevard, the state's directed light, the demonic activity of the entity in operation, right, while they're claiming to have a warrant, and I never had a court about this alleged warrant. I sat in jail, and they tried to force me to go through a second arraignment, all right, following what Shannon Faherty engaged in, which was supposedly arraignment, and that is an admission by the entity that it was not an arraignment, all right, and an admission that Shannon Faherty, Kimberly Appaloo, Kyle Brody, Lisa Rogan, Kara Hudson, Corey Jihai Lee, and Michael Camber, all of them criminals participating in what was an entirely fictitious case designed to kidnap, not just kidnap, but kidnap inside of a mental ward while they tried to falsely depict myself as suffering from some mental issue that doesn't exist, trying to artificially engineer it pursuant to what is literally abuse of, making up information in order to qualify under Penal Code Section 1370. Literally trying to just build one together. All right, kidnap me into jail, claim a fake warrant. That starts with the Ontario Police Department. That I happen to be documenting engaging in federal stalking, in concert with the people of the state who are also in jail monitoring in the same demonic methods. Okay, and while you have what is referencing this fake warrant, and I never have any court date, I just sit in jail, and then they engage in kidnapping me inside of the ward, just by force, okay? Having never talked to any medical workers. By the way, I'm not even supposed to be in jail, all right? But you have them using their positions as medical workers and engaging in libel. That's criminal defamation. That's the P.O.C. Engaging in libel in order to kidnap inside of the ward. And why? They're acting in concert with the court that's seeking to create a case under PC 1370. Because I am documenting the state of California engaged in federal stalking. That's why you engage in multiple acts of kidnapping and trying to force one to submit to a duplicate arraignment, and the repeated acts of kidnapping inside of a ward upon what is a false charge of a PC 148A1, which is really just an obstruction of an arrest. How do you jump from that, like I already said, how do you jump from that to the mental ward? Because it's a pattern of conduct. While they never had any legal right to arrest in the first place. First of all, they were engaged in federal stalking. But second of all, even upon their federal stalking conduct, they are blatantly engaging in kidnapping as they want to claim warrants time after time. And I just sit in jail and I don't have any court dates. All right? I'm just sitting in jail. I'm being kidnapped. I am being kidnapped, and then they snatch me into a ward and kidnap me there. All right? Upon having no communication with any medical worker, they're literally making it up. That's called libel. It's defamation, criminal defamation, serving the state's criminal purpose while federal stalking is underway. That is the pattern of conduct. That is what Tracy Banks was engaging in with the Ontario Police Department and the Upland Police Department in 2018, 2019, before I started heavily documenting the entirety of this entity engaging in a strictly organized pattern of conduct. That's what that is. And Tracy Banks revealed what the pattern of conduct. That's the same demon-possessed stalker, the Ontario Police Vehicle number 1008. As they are listening to me publish the publish the information. Just reminding you, because I already published it. I'm reminding you, don't forget. And that's what I'm saying. When they don't have any form, that's exactly what I mean. And I'm going to every single last, this is what I mean, every single last one, while City of Ontario is having a good old time crossing path, and pay attention how the sirens stop after they pass me under the fake sun. That's using the vehicles, the police vehicles, for federal stalking. And that's also terrorism while this demon-possessed entity is monitoring together. All of them listening to every word that I'm uttering about the criminal activity and about that prosecution that is impending. And so, as I have already published this, I'm just reminding you about what I've already published. The pattern of conduct is such that the entity engages in criminal summoning because the police are supposed to be the strong arm that is supposed to serve silencing. This is how they engage in that pattern of conduct, by repeated acts of kidnapping. Documented and published fact, where there was, in fact, no criminal prosecution underway. Not only because, first of all, they were engaged in federal stalking on January 13th when Jason Knight and Lester Keys kidnapped me, and the state was flying over me by airplane at that 7-Eleven, all right, where they were stalking using their police vehicles in the path, as I documented them, and as I also documented them 6 days earlier on January 7th, all right? And you have what is kidnapping pursuant to federal stalking. And then you have them engaging in trying again. That was the September 25th kidnapping. They tried it again after they released me on April 22nd in the middle of the night. after kidnapping me inside of a ward, after I was never given a trial, after literally making up information about why they're going to put me in a ward after I didn't get a trial and I arrived for trial. Okay? This is all documented and this is all published. That was the state's attempt to kidnap in a ward indefinitely. This is what the pattern of conduct is of federal stalking. This agency, the Ontario Police Department, engaged in ongoing acts of federal stalking and kidnapping, which is obstruction of justice. And then that stalker comes over here in my face and says that someone called and you have to get out of the street. That's why he's there. He's engaged in federal stalking, and I'm dealing with a demon who is engaging in form that he does not have, exercising fictitious authority that he does not have, referencing third parties who are monitoring with him. The entirety of that agency, they're all under a fake sun and impossible light. These are demons. Okay? And so I just want to remind you about the multiple acts of kidnapping by that agency. Don't forget that. They don't have any form. Okay? None whatsoever. And that's why they're going to be prosecuted. Because what that officer did, regardless of the smile on his face and the nice manner with which he was threatening my life, because it's audible activity in relevant position while you're wearing a police uniform, you represent the state directly, and you are used for the purpose of federal stalking. While the state is also flying around a helicopter and stalking me with a light source over my head and coming out of the mouth of a police officer who is also engaging in that pattern of conduct, that's the intent to terrorize. All right? So while he is terrorizing and threatening my life with a smile on his face, all right, referencing some third party or state actor that has no credibility with which he is monitoring together in that environment, all right, where I just showed 24 hours ago, the state's fake sun is nowhere possibly over 706 West Hall. It's right here. Over 150 East Hope Boulevard, over my head while he's referencing third parties and or state actors that don't have any legitimacy, have no credibility whatsoever. They're all monitoring. It's a state system. All right. So while he does that, you recall the documentation. This is what I mean. The targeted individual that is documenting and established the pattern of conduct, there is no legitimacy at any level of government. It is public corruption. It is demonic activity, and it is a malicious system in operation. They can claim that they were next door answering about some robbery all they want. The pattern of conduct being established, it's called light activity, it's called relevant positioning, it's called audible activity, it's federal stalking conduct. And that's exactly what the Ontario Police Department engaged in. And what you also witnessed were demons reacting to the information that they are collectively listening to me publish on my podcast. And that's why you have that group stalker that is demon-possessed, the license plate I read in the white vehicle right here at the corner, sitting at the red light. He just starts revving his engine as I start speaking about this very damning information while the Ontario police are in direct alignment to me at the red light, which is loitering in relevant position under the fake sun. And that's at the same time that the state flies over me at the same corner in a helicopter. You're witnessing demonic activity. Those are the demons reacting to that, which I am reminding you about because I have already published it. Also, the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department driving by at the same time that I'm speaking to the demonic activity that they engaged in while they were kidnapping me. That's demonic activity that you're witnessing. All right, so as I speak to it, understand the entity, I'm speaking to the reality of what is the condition of this government and of the people of the state. And they are demonic impulses that reveal the reality of what I'm telling you, okay? They, in many ways, cannot help themselves. It's of the demonic. And literally, it is a concession to that which I am telling you, and which you also know based on their outward conduct. All right, the ongoing group conduct, which is the absence of coincidence everywhere that you're going, the maintenance of this unnatural environment, which is being created for that criminal purpose amongst demons. It's the absence of coincidence, it's the P.O.C, and it's also demonic activity to be properly prosecuted and identified as the terrorism that it is amongst psychopaths wearing police uniforms. All right, so I just wanted to bring that up. Again, everything that I'm mentioning about that fictitious prosecution, which is the means whereby the Ontario Police Department engaged in multiple acts of kidnapping. But let me be clear, even before that that was nothing but a method of kidnapping. Because before that, Tracy Banks engaged in a pattern of criminal summoning with the Upland Police Department, who did not actually kidnap me, but that was an attempt to, okay? Engaging in the pattern of conduct of criminal defamation. All right, speaking about that which had absolutely nothing to do with why she summoned them there, having no right to do so. Okay, she didn't have any reason to do so. She's engaging in P.O.C. and was very hostile because I was moving away from her. As soon as I realized very weird things were happening in my home, that was my house, okay, my apartment, and I immediately sought to move away from her, and she starts beginning to call the police. All right, when I'm not even talking to her. All right, that's the P.O.C. It's called criminal summoning. The Upland Police engaging in that pattern of conduct, and that is also the Ontario Police Department engaging in criminal summoning that she provides form for her and her son, Eric Corey Spencer, engaging in multiple acts of kidnapping, engaging in what is summoning the police while she's engaging in federal stalking at Woodside Senior Apartments. This is documented already and it's published, all right? And this is the acts of kidnapping by the Ontario Police in 2000 and I believe I documented this in 2019 and 2020. All right, criminal summoning on May 4th, Officer Jay Burnett. All right, who knows exactly who I am, who arrives at the Ontario Museum of History and Art, as I documented a couple weeks ago, engaging in the outward demonstration of demon possession while he's creating light activity in relevant position, while I am also being molested by directed light, as I have shown. That's on a constant basis. All right, the absence of coincidence, that Ontario police officer arrives. He's the same one that engaged in kidnapping, acting pursuant to the criminal summoning of Tracy Banks, who physically attacked me, lies about it, all right, and engages in criminal summoning while federal stalking is underway. That's why Officer Jay Burnett pulled out his cell phone and played back what was the argument that occurred between Tracy Banks and I inside of her apartment, well before she ever called the police. You know why he was able to do that? Because the police department, the Ontario Police Department, are engaged in federal stalking. They know exactly what I'm doing. They know everything that is ongoing, where I am, as it is occurring. That is why this ongoing environment is being maintained. And this is why and how I am documenting third parties, state actors, in their private vehicles and their commercial vehicles, such as Omnitrends, which is group stalking right now, using that bus as light activity under the fake sun, while they are listening all together to every word that I'm uttering and I'm reminding the public about, and this is going to be toward that prosecution. Okay? So what you have is Tracy Banks engaging in criminal summoning, which is an attempt to kidnap. You're summoning the entity directly while you're seeking to kidnap. That's obstruction of justice while you are documenting, while you become aware. That's what the entity engages in, aggression, while as you begin documenting, as you become aware of it. All right. And so engaging in criminal summoning with her son, Eric Corey Spencer, calling the police while I'm just sitting in the apartment. All right. And the police arrive and then deny that anybody called them. So then why are you at the apartment then? All right. That's what I documented. Ontario Police Officer Cho and Ontario Police Officer Kessel. That's August 6, 2020. All right. That was a kidnapping. Acting in concert with AMR Ambulance and the Ontario Fire Department. All right. This is the pattern of conduct by the state. So I just want to remind you, the Ontario Police Department, and this is what I mean, you're dealing with demons and you're dealing with psychopaths who are dealing with an illusion. They don't even have form. They don't even have the convenience of acting like they have form. So let me tell you the reason, the breakdown of that. For example, you would say like the let me give you a city that I have it. Let me see a city that I have it. Claremont, the city of Claremont. If Claremont has a police department, okay. And the reason why I'm naming a city that I have not specifically, I've been to, and the pattern of conduct didn't stop, but particularly encounter with Claremont Police. Let's just assume they have a police department. The police in general, establishing the pattern of conduct, there is no form. And this is a template. The police don't have a form. This is how you engage in federal stalking by entity. However, you're dealing with an entity that relies on form. And so, okay, assuming that Claremont has a police department and say they are engaging in form of answering some radio call of a third party that is down the street from where I am, in other words, in direct alignment under what is the fake sun, while they're using their police vehicles as light activity and they're remaining in relevant positions. They're loitering in relevant position while the people are patrolling, all right? The P.O.C, like I continue to document. But you have what is the Claremont Police Department. The difference between them and the Ontario Police Department, for example, the Claremont Police Department have not engaged in multiple acts of kidnapping me. I mean, I have personally encountered and documented it. And this is fact, all right? Not just the fact of the kidnapping. I'm talking about the details as to the very specific kidnapping conduct by the Ontario Police Department, all right? That is the Claremont Police Department would be one where, even though they do not have form, you have established a pattern of conduct. They can attempt to try to act like they have form, I guess, but you're talking about the absence of the heavy documentation of that specific police department, all right? That is in direct contrast with the Ontario Police Department. And this is what I mean by you're dealing with a psychopath, which is what is demonic activity. Understand that. These are psychopaths that are very, very desperate. I mean, very, very desperate. Monitoring while they're kidnapping. You would think that they would be happy when you're kidnapped inside of the jail. They were engaging and monitoring while I was kidnapped in the jail. And then they kidnap me inside the ward. They're still engaging in this demonic behavioral pattern. They are psychopaths. Okay, this is not natural. This is revealing that which is of public corruption. But at its core, understand that this is straight out of the pit of hell. This is a sick group, and this is a government system in operation. It's absolutely corrupt. All right, and it is caused by what is demonic possession, and the Ontario Police Department doesn't even have the ability to, with a straight face, act like they're coming to, for example, tell me to get out of the street because somebody called them. After I have engaged in systematic documentation of their engagement in federal stalking and repeated acts of kidnapping. That pattern of conduct does not stop, and you're doing it in the environment. All right? On the same day, within the same 30 minutes where the state is stalking by helicopter and with a fake sun that's over the building. All right, in direct conflict with what I just documented not only an hour ago, but 24 hours ago. Okay, so you're talking about the absolute ridiculousness. All right, that's the desperation, and that is going toward what is terrorism. So I want to be clear: light activity coming from 214 South Euclid Avenue, as I remain at the intersection of Euclid and Holt, and this is in the parking lot of 214. That is Rojas Enterprises. Using a vehicle that is flashing with light, that is in alignment to me. That is also facilitation of criminal activity. And while these group stalkers, and this is the mark of demonic activity, and it's also the mark of a third party, while they're driving by in the shade, the same directed light that I showed you is occurring inside of Starbucks. That vibrant, rich, concentrated light, impossible light activity is appearing on the side of this wall. By wall, I mean the wall of the Ontario Health Public Clinics. The same one where those employees are coming out engaging in maintenance of presence. They're group stalking around the building, maintaining presence while I stand here. And these demons are driving by at the same time that this impossible light is appearing onto this building. All right? Good morning. There's another group stalker working with the Ontario Public Health Clinics wearing a badge, engaging in group stalking, and as she walks by, impossible light across the building of the public health clinics. It is currently 10:16 a.m. State's fake sun is remaining present over this venue. Let me show you. All right, I did capture video of that, the state's fake sun, not just over the building of 150 East Holt. It is over the corner of the building where I stand. at the intersection of Euclid and Holt. All right, and you can see the street sign as I point my camera straight up and I face east. Okay, and that is at 10:18 a.m. And that's in video, and that is ongoing evidence of what I've already established, but I'm speaking to what I wanted to make sure that I nice and rapidly package, which is the criminal summoning by the state. And that is criminal activity that the entirety of the entity would be prosecuted for. That's the pattern of conduct while they're engaging in terrorism. All right, it is currently 10:19 a.m. That is P.O.C. All right, I wanted to capture video so that you can see the face of what is demon possession. And it does not matter what your position is, what your age is, what your status is. That ongoing maintenance of presence is all that the state is using. And these are demons that are acting collectively while the state's fake sun is remaining over me, over this venue, in direct conflict with what I just captured, not only in totality, but even 24 hours ago. And I wanted to make sure I specify, and that's what I captured video of, is a state actor, an employee of the public health clinics wearing the badge. And she is the one that I'm specifically referencing as she is engaging in the communication of a threat on behalf of the entity. And as she drives by, just like this, as she walks by, just like this third-party group stalker drives by, impossible light onto the surfaces while the fake sun is over. And by the way, I was in the shade over there. This is 50850B3. Stalking with the state, and that is a state act. That's a third party right here. But the video that I captured of the third party, that is actually a state actor. She's an employee at that state facilitating venue, engaging in what is a communication of a terrorizing threat while she's acting with the state that is molesting and covering that venue with directed light at the same time that she is walking by me. Doing the same are third party group stalkers and state actors as they are driving by. At that corner is covered in shade. But by the way, even if it wasn't, there is no trajectory of sunlight or reflection that's going to result in light beaming backwards like a laser onto me, onto the sidewalk, stretching across the road. All right, that's the pattern of conduct. And that is also the mark of what is demonic activity as I am documenting and exposing it and speaking to what is federal stalking as they are monitoring together. That is literally how you know that they are all acting as one. That's how you know. Because that which is unnatural and impossible to naturally occur is occurring with every single last one of them, all right? In an environment that is already established as absolutely unnatural, and they are all present in it and engaging in that same conduct as that environment is maintained. That is what ties them all together. And that is also why I'm speaking to what is that directed light, because that is the direct evidence against people of the state. And it's also direct evidence against the police department who engaged in conspicuous stalking today, being visibly seen. All right, and the state's fake sun moving east to remain over my head as I walk towards Shiro's Liquor, okay? Nowhere over being over 706 West Holt Boulevard. 5XUZ610 is a sex offender molesting me with the state as the state is engaging ongoing molestation with directed light and molesting me with this light source that remains over my head. They're a sex offender, and that's what you document. That's what I'm systematically documenting. Third party facilitating venue, Brian's Automotive. Creating audible activity while I'm being molested with directed light. They are a sex offender, and using that business venue, the state's fake sun is over that venue, they're monitoring, okay? 7ZLR368, 8BCU674, 8JOV638. All right, license plate, plane engines being amplified while the state's fake sun is over Andy's Burgers where I stand. BIGSTK, Omnitrans, City of Ontario, license plate. Let's see, I can't really see that one. So let me be clear, all of these third-party facilitating venues are monitoring Brian's Automotive, B&G Plaza, Ontario Town Square Townhomes, Metro 102, the City Hall, that's a state facilitating venue monitoring. The Ontario Fire Department is a state facilitating venue. They are monitoring. The state's fake sun, the state is amplifying activity, and they are all in relevant position to where I stand right now. 7P00377. Enrique's income tax. They are all monitoring. All Euclid Avenue where I stood at that intersection. T-Mobile, checks cash MoneyGram, 7VOE981. That's license plate. They're all monitoring, okay? And that is Brightview. I want to document Brightview. They were monitoring as well, using their vehicles as light activity, especially as Ontario police were engaging in criminal summoning, acting in concert with referencing some mysterious actor that called them. 8 BCU 674, which is their form for engaging in conspicuous stalking conduct. They're all monitoring, though. I want to make sure I reference that, and they're all sex offenders. All right? And when you're engaging in what is a prosecution of an entity engaging in this manner of criminal activity all together, you're referencing where you are, and you're referencing what the state is doing. What the state does, the people are doing. And what the people are doing, the state is doing. Everything that's coming out of the mouth of a third party is coming out of the mouth of the state. And that is a terrorizing threat as the state does so while it is monitoring you in concert with the people. 8TFN 308. 6SDA 719. Brian's Automotive, located at 120 Plum, I believe. 120 Transit, excuse me. 8DFE 015. 5X34551. All right, and so as I walk through B&G Plaza at the intersection of Plum and Transit, City of Ontario going out of their way to stalk on Plum and Transit, crossing path, fake sign is right over my head at the driveway where I'm standing inside of the plaza of B&G Plaza. And like I said, totally incompatible with ever being over the property of 706 West Holt. The state is moving the light source to maintain that central position over my head and over that building, even through the window as I aim my camera up in that building. Yeah, I got that license plate. He's sitting in his car, group stalking. This is to remind about the totality of the documentation that's already published, because as the state is engaged in ongoing stalking with light, I have already documented a wealth of documentation showing what the state has been doing with its fake sun, as I was revealing what was stalking with light since 2020. 5ZJN260, and being over me while I am close to the street of what is, and like I said, the state's conduct with its fake sun, it's not just in the area of where I'm at. The state's fake sun is in direct alignment with me. It's directly over my head. That is impossible to coexist with being directly over my head at the address of 706 West Holt Boulevard. All right, that maintenance of centrality is necessarily required to exist by movement, migration of that light source in real time as I move. 5ZJN260, they're all group stalking, sitting in their vehicles. 8WBX172, and the fake sun is right over me while they are stalking in relevant position. Okay, 5WSB144, 8FNC731. 8P12439, talking out loud, opening up the car door, light activity creation, audible activity creation. 78BY515, waits to open the door. Group stalkers close the door, open the door, they create noise as I move. It's called soundtrack. I've already documented that. 6USJ372, this license plate is 8ATE938. 179P75, that's Nevada plate. 8LSN225, 76757A1, 8KCK913. And what the state does, like I've already shown, what the state is doing with light, stalking with light and directed light, is direct evidence against the people of the state. It's doing that because they are all monitoring. They're all stalking together. 35755C3, 6DIH154, 6VSF885. And so as the state engages in that ongoing pattern of conduct, okay, stalking with directed light all around me while the group stalkers of the public health clinics department walk by me, engaging in stalking with light while group stalkers and state actors drive past me in the shade, is the direct evidence against these group stalkers. That pattern of conduct doesn't stop. It's ongoing. And you document all of them because it's ongoing everywhere you're going. 8TFN 308. All right, so what you're documenting at one angle, there's Ontario police stalking, driving behind me, relevant position, turning onto Plum from Hope Boulevard. And that wealth of documentation flying over me in a circle in a helicopter, the state is stalking still. You continue documenting that. It's the direct evidence against them. 49933F3. 7KKN991, impossible light above these vehicles as that one enters the parking lot, while the fake sun is directly above my head inside of this parking lot of B&G Plaza. 8JX8216, 8GER152. Let alone the ongoing wealth of documentation about every venue where you're at. So showing where the state is doing with planes and helicopters and law enforcement. And again, the stalking with light conduct, okay? This is ongoing everywhere. I document yet again Starbucks engaging in federal stalking, all right? And you have, as I return to B&G Plaza, I've already documented this plaza. This is what the state's fake sun was at this time, really, at the same time. That's direct evidence, and you recall what you've already published. This is also how you know what they're engaging in. Okay, so you literally are able to document everyone because it's the state's pattern of conduct that's underway. All right, and documentation is what makes that picture clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer. 7ZYY125, 8FAJ 408, 7WFF 962, 7ZDZ 684, Group Stalker Stalking with Light, 8GME 528, 7EIX 297, 8K38 741, 8WDN 862, and this one with 8GME 528, monitoring with a minor child. That's terrorism and sexual violence and molestation of my person without her consent. I'm not giving my consent, and she's acting as a government, and she's doing so with the minor children. 6UOF 541, 8M22956, stalking in the path and stalking with light, license 8BAM283, 8VO1613. 7NCX491, 8THM932, 8VJV056, 6NZV265, 7YWR584, 5XGZ503, 8GYU826, 8RYW083, 7TQT803, 7MOK664, 6UJL519, 5GPA064, 8TYP886, 5NXV437, 8FED335, 5ZFU021, 6ZEU112, 6YJM110, yeah, I think I read that one, 6VKS601, 6FTJ512, paper plate BR24W41. All right, what I just captured in video is which I was showing, just drawing another immediate contrast between what you saw 24 hours ago, which is the state's light source over 706 West Holt, which is west of this location. License plate 4HGL544, Amtrak used as the guise under which the sound of a train is used to create audible activity while the state's fake sun migrates to keep in alignment with me as I walk toward the entrance doors of S.I.I.S Liquor. And what I am also documenting is the ongoing use of what is the state's directed light and stalking with aircraft, which you're also looking at. That's exactly what you were seeing on video while I'm in the parking lot of Starbucks yesterday, under what is the fake sun that is clearly over my head in that parking lot as well. You are, again, not only in the morning, you're talking about in the afternoon. So this is east of what is 706 West Holt Boulevard. And the state's fake sun is also at every other location that I've documented at the same time, well far away from this address, for example, and maintaining that same central position over me even as I move, okay? And this includes outside of San Bernardino County, and this is what I continue to reveal in my consistent documentation. This is demonic activity, and so in the same way that the Ontario Police Department have zero form, they have been literally, caught red-handed with regard to the fact that these are demon-possessed stalkers that have engaged in repeated acts of obstruction of justice and what is federal stalking by entity, which is demon possession amongst that agency. You're talking about the state the same on the massive scale as I have thoroughly revealed what is stalking with a light source, which is revealing demon possession of the government, the state that is acting with the people. 5CG8795, I want to be clear, on the cameras inside of S.I.I.S Liquor. What you have is the revealing of that system and very thorough and comprehensive documentation of what is stalking with light, which is clearly not the sun. Stalking with that which is presumed to be the sun in what is an alternate universe of third parties and state actors, all right, who have zero form, okay? And this is entirely demented conduct by a government, a public entity that's operating a federal stalking system, all right? It's called group stalking. That is why you are stalking with a light source. And that is why at this time at 10:36 a.m., you have what is the state's fake sun directly over my head as I stand in front of the entrance of S.I.I.S Liquor at 410 East Hope Boulevard. Whereas 24 hours earlier, not only where it is west of this location, at the same time, you have, at the same time, 24 hours ago, at the same time, I am west of this location, and the state's fake sun is maintaining that central position over me inside of the building, moving as I move north and south in that parking lot, and aiming its directed light inside of all of that venue. This is unmistakable, what I've shown. I mean, literally, the state's directed light, moving light, that the walls of disco light, all that carnival light conduct, that is very vivid admission by the state, coexisting with the state's fake sun over that venue. And this is speaking to what is the ongoing criminal activity by a psychopath, in the same way that the Ontario police engage in the absence of any form. You're talking about a psychopath that doesn't have anything to hold on to, but just operating under illusion, all right? And that's the same thing that the state is doing with its fake sun, after it has clearly been demonstrated what is going on and what the state is doing with this light source, and not only that, but why it is doing it. So let me answer. We're going to go one step further. Not only why you're doing it, but why you continue to do it after you are clearly caught. Okay, and that's what documentation has done. You're talking about a very violent, very, very dangerous psychopath, okay? Those who continue to stalk, all right, Ontario Police Vehicle number 1858A. As you speak about Satan, he crosses path, okay? And this is the absence of any form. These are documented criminals, all right, and that includes the people of the state. As you are witnessing what is hostility to documenting their criminal activity and publishing it, that which is unmistakable and also incontrovertible, it's irreducible. There is no rebuttal for what is the clear documentation of criminal activity by a state that is stalking with a light source, an unheard of method of stalking. It's unheard of because it is absolutely demented. All right, these are psychopaths that are engaged in targeting together, and that's again what I've shown this morning. And the state's fake sun remaining over and nowhere near over 706 West Holt, let alone 507 North Euclid Avenue, the other Starbucks that I documented north up Euclid Avenue, and the state following me to and from any of those venues, and the totality of that documentation that exists with regard to the state stalking with light. And so it is 10:38 a.m. and that is P.O.C. All right, want to make sure I document on my podcast what I got in video. 8TBF044, molesting with the state, impossible light activity under what is the fake sun, clearly documented at a distinctly different location at the same time yesterday. So this is the people acting under the fake sun, engaging in terrorism, engaging in sexual violence as they're molesting together with the state. License plate 4YCA033, maintaining presence inside of S.I.I.S liquor, group stalking inside of the venue, while the state is also amplifying plane engines. Group stalking in the parking lot, 7MXM432, also using their vehicle as light and audible activity. Group stalking in the parking lot, 6FTJ512, I believe I already read that one, and 7JVK337, in case I didn't read that one already. It is 10:47 a.m. and that aged third party now enters inside of the venue as I cross path and read his license plate. That's P.O.C. She's a sex offender on camera. P.O.C. All right, documenting her on the cameras inside of S.I.I.S liquor. It is 10:48 a.m. And again, that's monitoring with the Ontario Police Department, who are engaging in ongoing stalking as I'm walking up and down Euclid Avenue and Hope Boulevard. This is 6VKS601, 7G59051, 7TRK459, 8MSC107. It's 10:48 a.m. 8UGA565, 8SIU534, 90348T2, 6TJX310, 8G86, 5R2, DT254, handicap, 7TVG243, 8WYA497, 4X4110, 8P21918, 5RAS939, stalking with activity. FedEx is group stalking at Stereo City. They're monitoring over there using their vehicles as light activity and relevant position at Sultana and Holt. That's plane activity. That's also how you know what Stereo City is doing. That's what the state does as I document more minions. License plate 7HTH976, 5MC414. I can't really see that one that clearly. And that's the state flying right over me, not over the museum. All right, flying right over me at S.I.I.S liquor, where the fake sun is right here over my head. FedEx is loitering in relevant position, engaging in sexual violence as the state is molesting, acting with 8TB F044. FedEx is monitoring with the entity. FedEx is engaging in sexual violence. That's how that's analyzed. 8RBG871. It is currently 10:50 a.m. Alrighty. Alrighty, just capturing more video, speaking to what FedEx, Stereo City, and the sex offender with license 8TBF044 is engaging in, both on the surveillance cameras of Shiro's Liquor, as she is stalking in the path, using that venue as form for her loitering presence under what is the fake sun and directed light, with which she is molesting all over my body without my consent to touch me whatsoever, while she wants to stalk as the demon-possessed individual that she is, acting in concert with the state. While Amtrak is also Amtrak is actually the guise under which the state is creating the sound of train activity that is loudly heard while I am at B&G Plaza inside of the parking lot. That group stalker in that license plate that engaged in sexual violence, sexual molestation of an American citizen while she's stalking, is on the surveillance cameras of Shiro's Liquor, which I also referenced. 6TXN, I can't really see that one, 7RAY626. 8UBHB812. 8WQE193. City of Ontario turning on its flashers on its dumpster truck while it's sitting at the traffic light. It's called light activity, acting in concert with Amtrak, which is the guise under which audible activity is being created. And as the fake sun is moving west to remain over my head as I move from Shiro's Liquor. 8XUJ950. All right, and that's terrorism by the municipality that is documented engaging in criminal summoning and kidnapping with the state on June 18, 2021. Where the fake sun, by the way, is still documented remaining central in its location over my head, clearly captured still at this time. I've documented at 10 as early as 7 a.m., as late as after 1 p.m. But yet you have the state's fake sun moving in real time to remain over my head as I move about. All right, that's P.O.C. And it is 10:54 a.m. State's fake sun is no longer over the storefront of Shiro's Liquor. It is proceeding west to remain over me and behind schedule, because this is what the state was doing as I came from the museum yesterday and the day before yesterday, earlier than this. And the state's fake sun is hovering over me as I travel west to Starbucks at 706 West Holt, where it is already documented present over my head at that venue and remaining for the day. 7MTX425, B9604N2, 7FAX171, 7UTV767, 8HOY719, 8FURO62. Sitting in their car, group stalking, starts moving as I get up to their license plate to recite it, driving toward the Plum and Holt traffic cameras, 8FURO62, 7MOK860, 5UAE144. And again, stalking in the path while the state's fake sun is now above the Ontario Town Square townhomes, proceeding north over my head, okay? 4NHC969, 7NQP901, 5K48528, 6RZD073, 7127507. Crossing path under the fake sun, 6YMK104. Driving into Metro 102 Apartments, third-party facilitating venue, 8DGU849, 7WOY427, 7ZTM958, 8VRL731, 6BSS976, 7MZP329. All right, I just documented on video the Ontario Police Department engaging in another vivid example of stalking and you referencing those who are engaging in the stalking conduct with them. And he comes up with some story that cannot hold water. Remember, it's audible activity under the fake sun, and it doesn't even make any sense. He's talking about a third party called him and said that at the liquor store I was using my camera, which is not illegal, and that same third party watched me walk from the liquor store up Plum, okay, which would also be an affirmation of what I'm documenting, which is stalking conduct by the people, if you're admitting that you sat and watched me walk, okay? But understand that this is just audible activity. They're all monitoring. And that was literally another example of stalking conduct by the state that knows exactly where I am at. And with regard to the simultaneity of Southwest Airlines flying over my head and the fake sun over my head at Ontario Town Square Townhomes, after I just clearly captured it over my head at the S.I.I.S Liquor at 410 East Holt Boulevard, which is north migration up the street to remain in that central location above my head, City of Ontario crossing path at the city facilitating venue of City Hall, where they're monitoring and engaging in terrorizing an American citizen in concert with the police. That's why the fake sun is over their venue. This is patrolling by the people, 03845V2, and does so while I am speaking to the fact that there is no sun that I would even be able to see. If that was actually the sun over S.I.I.S Liquor, I would not be able to capture it directly over my head in front of that tall building of the Ontario Town Square apartment building, where I'm capturing the light source right over my head. I wouldn't even be able to see that if that was actually the sun that I was capturing over me while I'm at S.I.I.S Liquor, first of all. And second of all, while I also just got through documenting what is the remaining of that light source at Starbucks. So while I'm pointing out this very damning evidence, this very clear evidence, you have the Ontario police engaging in, that is blatant stalking. Not only are they engaging group stalking, you literally have the same police officer literally engaging from following from one place to another. That is both a traditional stalking and group stalking. And by the way, while they are aware of what I just documented, of the fact that they have zero forum and that they're referencing third parties that have no credibility, that are monitoring with them, and so they engage in repeating, that's the demonic behavioral pattern. As you pointed out, they repeat it. That's the satanic conduct that this entity engages in, okay? First of all, but let me point out that that was P.O.C, and that is not a coincidence, as you have what is clearly not the sun, which is what I was pointing out, while the state is flying over those apartment buildings, over my head, not over the museum, okay? Not over a Starbucks parking lot, right over me, where I'm talking about that which is not the sun over my head, which I would not be able to see from Starbucks at 706 West Holt or from S.I.I.S Liquor at 410 East Holt Boulevard. While that same stalking agency engaging in repeated acts of kidnapping arrives claiming some story that cannot hold water because they are stalkers that want to engage in conspicuous stalking conduct. All right. And then doesn't want to answer my question, because I was going to go down a line of questions. Why are you, what does that even have to do with why you were able to track me down? And what is illegal about that? So why would you waste your energy if that's not illegal? All right. So, but those are common sense aspects. It's monitoring. This is the police department. These are demons that are monitoring with the state that's flying over right now, 7KJJ 983. All right. While they're flying now, patrolling over Metro 102 apartments where the fake sun is. Okay. Alrighty, capturing video, what you're seeing step by step. As I already shown it as I walk north up, because I've already shown this before too, that exact same conduct of stalking north up Plum Avenue, coming from either direction to keep in alignment with me. You have what is, yeah, those are females that are driving 6MBZ207. That's a demon-possessed stalker, and she's engaging in the demonic pacing conduct of driving forward and driving forward and driving forward. They do the same thing on foot. And it is tantamount to a weirdo walking in front of you back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And that's what they were doing in a vehicle. All right. And going toward this location under what is the fake sun, using the vehicle under the fake sun, remaining present and acting with the Ontario Police Department. That is a pattern of conduct. It is currently 11:07 a.m. And that is P.O.C. And that is the amplification of the sound of a train, while I am inside of the parking lot of the City Hall, which you are not going to hear the train inside of the parking lot of the City Hall. But that's amplification. That is also speaking to the unnatural environment. While these demons fill the parking lot, I'll read you their license plate. 8V VW213. Group stalking while Amtrak is being amplified in the parking lot. They're under the fake sun that's remaining over my head as I walk through the parking lot. 8MUP739. Demon possessed stalker. All right. License plate 5ERB373. Is that the Ontario Fire Department? Oh no, that is Securitan Security Inc. Secutran Security Inc. Sectran, excuse me, SECTRAN. Sectran Security Inc. While the group stalker whose license plate I just read crosses path, understand the fake sun is directly above her vehicle. She's driving by me. Impossible light, just like I showed inside of the drive-thru of Starbucks. While they are in front of the, the fake sun is on the, hitting the top of their vehicle. And you have directed light, which is hitting that wall of the passenger side of their cars. This is what is occurring as they're driving around. These are demons that are pacing around. Okay, AW22T72, 5LPH072, 7XQG724, 8GYE330, 6ETP013, 6AFE535, and this one is the one. Crossing path again. This is the demon-possessed stalker. 5ERB373. Impossible light all over the back of her vehicle as well as she crosses path while the state is flying over the parking lot. This one is stalking with noise and now turns on her vehicle to create light activity while the state is flying over it and this fake sun is over my head. This is demonic activity and this is federal stalking. 6AFE535. Paper plate BS36Z39. License 8GUC601. All right, license plate 8VNN124, 7TGS172, 5SSF677, 4YAG816, 8TOG267, 8FVX776, and Sectran Securities, monitoring to the state flying over by plane and to the activity creation of the light activity while these demons in their cars, they're swarming around in their cars and light activity moving all around the surfaces around while the fake sun is over them because they're driving past me and while the state is creating plane activity as the state flies over me. Okay, so this is entirely demonic as I'm documenting what is federal stalking conduct. 7THV815. 7YEE578, 8WQF902, LTNSBB, 379ZD, that's handicap, NIK3LYF, 7VXU590, 7HCX720, 8CKX233, 7KTW830, 8VPD021, and Sectran Security Inc., California number 4853, using light activity on the vehicle. This license plate of this third party 4EDE using light activity on the vehicle, turning on the reverse lights as I walk toward the City Hall. That's called stalking in the path, and then using lights immediately as I am crossing path. That's the demonic aspect. That's the P.O.C. And Sectran license plate to Nevada plate 527MOO, using the hazards on that vehicle as a means of light activity, stalking with light. That's demon possession by none other than one who was driving that vehicle. Sectran. P.O.C. All right. I captured an example of the people of the state engaging in federal stalking under the fake sun, which is right here and facing, as I'm facing the city hall. Nowhere near or possible to coexist with being over, like directly over the cozy next to the entrance of the Ontario Ovitt Family Community Library, as I have captured day in and day out. All right, and you have what is after that time. This is 11:13 a.m. on August 17th. 2020, the state's fake sun is over 2500 South Archibald Avenue, and I can't stress that point enough. The state's fake sun clearly captured over my head as I'm walking everywhere on what is Holt Boulevard, from the museum to the health public clinics at 150 East Holt, to the B&G Plaza, Sharwell's Liquor, 410 East Holt Boulevard, to the Ontario Town Square townhomes, in a direct alignment with me. And while I am here at what is the City Hall, and I'm capturing the state's fake sun as it goes from, as I walk to the parking lot and then back toward the City Hall, and the state's fake sun is remaining over me as I'm going in all manner of direction. And that is the migration of that light source, and that is that which is not the sun, in direct conflict with that ongoing stalking conduct. In conformity to that ongoing stalking with light that I have demonstrated. And this is impossible to coexist with being over 2500 South Archibald Avenue, which is, I believe, off the 60 freeway, as the state placed its light source directly over my head as I'm at that venue. Right, where also it coexists with what is the state's directed light inside of that venue, and what is also the demonic behavioral pattern of the specific kidnappers, Jason Knighton. And you're talking about, as I documented later that evening, well, the fake sun was still over that venue after 4 p.m. All right, that's P.O.C. And you have the city of Ontario engaging in creating light activity at the turn circle, while the fake sun is now here over the library, in direct conflict with where I'm capturing it over 706 West Holt, etc., etc., etc. All right, that is P.O.C. and that is the Ontario Police Department crossing paths again. So let me tell you about the demonic behavioral pattern. The entity wants me to stay outside, for example, and keep documenting and don't go inside and publish. And I'm going to publish. And I'm also going to publish the ongoing terrorizing and desperate stalking conduct of the Ontario Police Department of Ontario at the state facilitating video of the City Hall, following from what is, again, the impossible coexistence of the sun over me at 706 West Holt Boulevard, which is what I captured. But here it is right here, and I'm going to get this in video at 11:15 a.m. It's 9:01 p.m. You have group stalkers stalking with light as the state is amplifying plane engines, and Ontario Over Family Community Library also creating audible activity at the entrance doors while I begin activity on the venue of the internet, specifically opening up YouTube. So I want to get this group stalker because what the state also did was molest me with directed light as a group stalker is driving down C Street, which their headlights are not molesting me. That's the state's directed light. 280 North Lemon Apartments facilitating venue group stalker walking out and crossing path while the state's directed light is all over the venue. And this is license plate 89094D1. He has two shadows while he's walking in what are headlights, shadows on both sides of him, just like I showed you last night. This is demonic activity and they're monitoring. License plate 89094D1 is engaging in sexual violence and criminal facilitation. He's monitoring, and this is demon possession. 280 North Lemon Apartments is a facilitator, and so is Ontario Over Family Community Library, and the state is flying over right now. The security, Securitas, that's what, third-party group stalker, the African-American female that is on security cameras, engaging in federal stalking, wearing the Securitas uniform, okay? That's P.O.C. It is 9:02 p.m., and I am standing in front of the turn circle of C Street. The state is flying over in the airspace, and that license plate of the third-party group stalker at third-party facilitating venue of the Ontario Over Family Community Library, acting in concert with 280 North Lemon, acting with third-party Securitas, all right? This is all form, and while a group stalker is exiting that venue, his shadow is surrounding him, and my shadow is all over the walls. That's P.O.C., and that's the demonic activity, the terrorism by the state. Again, that's 89094D1. License plate 6WDN231, 8RZD164, 8J357E3, and that third party turns around again to sexually molest again, all right? 7 ESC 971. They're group stalking in the parking lot of the Ontario Town Square, just sitting in their cars and stalking with light in the path. So as I walk, they are sitting in their cars already waiting, and then they begin reversing out of their parking spots. This is called stalking with light conduct, and this is entirely demonic. 4WRE657, 8SST286. While, by the way, directed light remains present. This is the marker of demonic activity, and this is amongst a people. And they're on the surveillance cameras of the Ontario Town Square. License plate 7LTJ034, stalkers. That's demon possession. It is currently 9:04 p.m. 7UUN561, 6ENB858. Ontario Town Square, another one getting in their car. As I walk down, activity follows. This is the demonic conduct. License plate. Oh, third party coming down the street. All right. Remember, this is directed light, and they're crossing paths in the state's light. This is stalking by an entity. 8SMG464. License 7RCN179. And I'll just go ahead and read all of them. C278EO and 4CGL144. 6ENB858. It's 9:04 p.m. RZD164. Demons patrolling at Lemon and C Street. Directed light all over the buildings. Double shadows of a tree. There's one tree and it has two shadows on the wall. This is demonic activity. This is stalking by the people. All right, I'm going to read every license plate over here because this is a third-party facilitating venue. One minion tries to flee and another one is available to document. 7UYY049. And let me be clear, group stalkers are sitting in the distance, stalking in the path with light. Terrorism. Document 7R75238 for that terrorism and that sexual violence that I am right now being subject to while the state is molesting me with directed light. and minions continue to cross paths with the state. License 7S VF. This is an old African American 4CVW 461. And this one is, these are cockroaches. They're just driving all slow in the middle of the intersection. 4SVF 473. This is straight up out of hell. These are demons that I'm revealing. That's a demon-possessed individual. That's an African male. He just drove down. That's called pacing. He drives down to the street. He makes a U-turn at the intersection to drive by. That's called relevant positioning. All right? When you're group stalking, all you are doing is maintaining presence in the path, and you're doing it collectively. And that was blatant stalking conduct by African male. I read that license plate. This is P.O.C. License plate, like I said, 7UYY049, 7R75238, 6XKK107, 8PVB020, 6VYH132, 6BZR160, 7R40564, 7N14661. Shadows appearing across the license plate when nobody is walking in front of it. That's called directed light. A group stalker is sitting at the opposite end of the street with their headlights on. It's called stalking with light. Group stalker in the Metro 102 apartments parking lot right here in relevant position with their headlights on. That's called stalking with light. All right, and the state is always stalking by aircraft. This is the people stalking with that entity. Vicarious stalking activity. All right, let me give you this license plate of these stalkers in the middle of this parking lot. This is license plate 8UCR358, 4BPW680, 8ATV033, 8UUR523, 6LSE791, 7ZER967, 6CDH052, 7HPB691, BS68L19, that's paper plate, 8RSE885, 7XFL094, 38695N1, 8CIZ873, 6MYX290, 8UCR358, just sitting in the middle of a parking lot just like the city of Ontario does during the day. All right, I think this is supposed to be some security guard. They're engaging in federal stalking, right? And doing so with some aged old people who are stalking with the state. Demon possession has nothing to do with your age, okay? Absolutely demonic. I'm talking about you, Satan. License plate 82350C3. While he's using his vehicle as light, maintaining presence in the path with light. That's the demonic behavioral pattern. Turns on his brake lights as I'm walking farther in the distance. That's stalking with light conduct. All right, his question, what are you talking about, is called audible activity. And the state is flying over right now. All right? That's called amplified audible activity while they are using their vehicles as light. And those aged white people that are standing in the parking lot in directed light, their shadows are magnified in size on the brick wall while that third party, this alleged security guard, is keeping lights on, which is the form for directed light by the state. Okay, because the cars that the supposed headlights are hitting are ginormous. Just like you see with my shadows that I showed you inside of Starbucks, for example. It's called directed light. This is called demonic activity, and this is the failure for the people to be the guys for what is federal stalking. Okay, license plate. I got those license plates of those third parties, and what I have is proof. As he holds up his phone, you're talking about what is proof of use of a communication device while the state engages in that conduct that I always document. The state flies over as third parties engage in the conduct that I document, especially as it's damning. So he's talking about law that doesn't apply, and I'm pointing out also what is directed light, and the state is flying over the same exact parking lot, okay? Just like this morning as the Ontario police are engaged in blatant conduct of stalking. Everywhere that I was going, literally from building to building, the Ontario police engage in ongoing stalking, and the state is flying over me where I am. That is what armed response unit is engaging in, and engaging in sexual violence. Their audible activity is that which is vocalizing a threat while the state is flying over. That company engaging in criminal facilitation, engaging in sexual violence, engaging in what is terrorism with the state while they're stalking in the path on behalf of the state, all right? And actually engaging in what is the exemplifying an absolute ignorance as to the actual law while they're standing in a parking lot in violation of federal law. So let me get this. This is molestation with more. All right, I had to capture another video. I'm sorry about that. Well, actually, I'm not sorry. It's actually incredible documentation that I just captured of those sex offenders again. 82350C3 and 8 UCR 536, I believe. I read them correctly upon monitoring with them 7MRW344. Now, what you're looking at in the video, first of all, is federal stalking, the ongoing behavioral pattern. And also you have another third party in a trailer group stalking behind the abandoned building of the Yangtze restaurant. That is a abandoned parking lot, abandoned area, and they're sitting over there stalking with light, aiming their headlights on the brick wall. That's creating light on the surfaces. While what I also captured in video is absolutely demonic. You're looking at that ongoing ritual conduct of demon-possessed individuals. They're driving around in a circle. They're doing so in directed light. The state engages in this ritual conduct of, it's federal stalking, this is monitoring, but this is demonic at its core. So they're engaging in this ritual conduct of flying over as third parties who are demons are expressing hostility as I document them. The state is engaging in demonic activity as it is engaging in this stalking conduct by airplane. That's what that's about. That's what you saw at Starbucks in the parking lot. While that third party group stalker is hostile, that's a demon-possessed actor who is exceedingly hostile, speaking on behalf of the entity, and the state engages in this ritualistic stalking conduct of flying over in an airplane. All right? That's exactly what they did right now at the in the parking lot while they are demonstrating that ongoing presence in that environment, which is the direct evidence against them, while every word coming out of their mouth is audible activity as they are engaging in federal stalking. All right, incorrectly citing law while they are violating federal law. All right, and engaging in what is harassment while you are representing the state. That is the prosecution of that security company that's engaging in federal stalking and terrorism and sexual violence. And I captured that on video, so I just want to document that. And that is some excellent documentation that I just captured right now. And understand it's not isolated to that. That is the ongoing P.O.C. That's exactly what is ongoing everywhere that I go. That is exactly what the Ontario Police Department are engaging all day and all night. I'm documenting third parties and the state together. They are one entity, and it is entirely demonic. What you saw the Ontario Police Department doing this morning, first of all, not only are these demon-possessed actors, the Ontario Police Department, but you are also witnessing what is that demonic desperation, all right? The demonic is desperate. The demonic is hostile. The demonic is of a psychopath, okay? And that is why the psychopath is at the museum right now, while Satan knows that I'm talking about him, okay? Monitoring to that sound of train activity. And they're sitting at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, okay? That's the Ontario Police Department engaging in stalking. Like I said, they know where I'm at. They are engaged in stalking 24/7, and that's why they have also engaged in what are heavily documented acts of kidnapping, while they've been engaging in that long-term stalking and monitoring conduct. And this is ongoing evidence of it. Stalking at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, where directed light is present. My shadow surrounds me. There is no mistake about what the Ontario Police Department are engaging in, and they have zero law on their side. They are not doing nothing but wearing that uniform, and I'm going to take that uniform from them. That's what's going to happen. And when I documented this morning, my point is that you're talking about what you're witnessing, what is, and so basically what's the resolution, what's the end? The end is, as I told you, I'm going to prosecute him. I'm going to prosecute them, and it's already in process. That's what I continue to gather, and I also I document what are demons engaging in this criminal activity wearing Ontario police uniforms. It is 9:19 p.m., so let's be clear. There's no separation between that demonic activity, which is federal stalking that I just documented, and the Ontario police who are sitting in relevant position to that parking lot right now. They were monitoring to that. While the shadows are surrounding me right now still, I'm in directed light. There is no difference. And they were doing the same under the fake sun this morning, which they wanted to distract from. That's why they were engaging in such ongoing conspicuous stalking, literally at every corner, everywhere that I was walking. Are aware of the documentation, and this is just the reality. They don't have any form. This is blatant exposure of psychopaths of the Ontario Police Department. Literally, this is a heavy duty demon possession of that department. And you're talking about an obsessed stalker wearing that uniform. Okay, very concerned about everything, including my bodily functions, including when I pull down my panties. And I am not being disgusting or trying to be explicit. I am letting you know about how extreme and how perverted and how obsessed this demon-possessed agency is. They are literally stalking right now in the parking lot of the museum. There's nothing going on back here except for Erica Lorraine Spencer, which they know is over here sleeping. They know exactly who I am and they know exactly where I'm at. That's why they sit around sounding their sirens all night long in real time with what I'm doing on the internet and as I make any sudden moves. Sirens are the hallmark, and Ontario Police Department engaged in ongoing stalking in that regard as well. So it is 9:20 p.m. and like I was stating, this morning the Ontario Police Department engaged in an ongoing effort to try to distract from the ongoing evidence, which is direct evidence against the people of the state, because the state is already prosecuted. You're talking about the impossibility of what was that actually being the sun that I captured, and that's being sunlight, which is common sense. But I'm making a point and being thorough as you're looking at an ongoing contrast of what you saw at third-party facilitating venue Starbucks, while the Ontario Police Department were engaged in heavy-duty stalking today and right now, and you saw that great contrast, the impossibility of that. If the state wasn't, I mean, you're not even looking at anything that is even similar to or comparable to the actual sun, all right? That is a light source that the state kept over that parking lot of 706 West Holt, and that's what I demonstrated, that's what I documented, and that's exactly what you saw today. And if you continue to make that contrast, you're looking at the totality of the documentation, you're also looking at the light activity, while, by the way, you have what is the shadow activity. My shadow is surrounding me inside of the venue, just like while I'm outside, just like while I'm in the bathroom of the Ontario Healthcare Public Clinics at 150 East Holt. That is not natural light activity, that's the state's light, and it's demonic, speaking to an ongoing demonic environment. Okay, so I want to get 7ELH047. They're monitoring with the Ontario Police Department, who is loitering in relevant position. The Ontario Police Department stalking with American Response, that security company that was aiming aiming their headlights while the state was aiming directed light. That is the failure of any form. And I'm going to document the Ontario Police. They are creating light activity with the red dome light on in their vehicle. That's called light activity. They're stalking with light with the headlights on, sitting in the parking lot of the Ontario Museum. This is vehicle number 1825, and this looks like a male officer. And this is called stalking with light. I'm going to get this. It's 9:22 p.m. License plate 1462881. All right, I did capture video of the Ontario Police Department engaging in ongoing terrorism and stalking. While I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shadows, I actually want to get this. I had 4 while I was in front of him, while he's looking in the opposite direction. By the way, that's what Satan does. As I document him and catch him clear, and by Satan, I mean what you cannot see with your eyes, I'm letting you know you're witnessing it through the conduct and through the environment, all right? So you are dealing with Satan, which is a spirit on this agency, including that man. That ongoing environment is present. This light activity, that's demonic. This is demon possession that I am exposing. And the ongoing environment is literally existing while he is turning his head to the opposite side while he's stalking me. That's what he's doing. That's the psychopath, okay? That is the psychopath, and this is a demonic activity by that agency, and what I captured is the directed light. As my shadow was standing in a line in front of me, he is creating light activity with the red dome on, dome light on in his car, and the headlights on, sitting in the parking lot of the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, where the Ontario Police Department engage in ongoing surveillance every single day. This is called conspicuous stalking, and this is called the intent to threaten and terrorize, as you document, which they are well aware of because they are monitoring, and they are monitoring the documentation. This is demonic conduct, just like I captured of those demons across the street. As you catch Satan, Satan engages in conduct which is rebellious, all right? That's the character of Satan. You prosecute that for what is terrorism and what is harassment. That's what I just documented, and this is the Ontario Police that were right across the street, less than 100 yards away, monitoring me in that same directed light, which is present here as I stand right next to him as he's stalking, waiting for me to arrive at the museum, okay? And how are you gathering that it is him? First of all, he is not acting alone. This is group conduct. And secondly, that ongoing environment is maintained. There is no separation amongst the group that is engaging in this monitoring system together. The criminal elements of monitoring are maintained: light, activity, and relevant position. And this officer is engaging in all 3 of those elements. And what are the hallmarks? The state is stalking via aircraft, which I also just showed, which is ongoing, long-established documentation. That has not stopped. It is ongoing. The state is engaging in amplification of audible activity. The state is engaging in what is impossible light. That's directed light. The state's engineered light, which is covering all over me. That's why I have a line of shadows in front of me while this psychopath is trying to look to the right like he's doing something else. That is Satan, okay? That's what I mean by that. Legally speaking, that's called federal stalking, and you prosecute it as terrorism because that's what the entity does all together. All right. That's the ongoing direct evidence against the Ontario Police Department. And that's what they were doing all this morning. Again, wanting to distract from that ongoing evidence that they do not want you to focus on. Indeed, they would rather me focus on the fact that they are stalking rather than me talk about the fact that that is clearly not the sun that was hovering over and sunlight that was all moving around inside of that venue of 706 West Holt Starbucks, which is common sense. You should know that there is no vantage point of any light, that is no product of any reflection of sunlight, as I was capturing light flashing about, moving about inside of that venue, okay? First of all, but that is the entity that I'm dealing with. It is desperate, it is hostile, and it is pathetic. And so I am exposing that. And that is an Ontario police officer that is engaging in relevant positioning, that is engaging in criminal facilitation, that is engaging in what is terrorism based on his identity as a police officer who is engaging in stalking. And there is no deviation from the pattern of conduct. This is called federal stalking. He is monitoring with communication devices in violation of 18 U.S.C. 2261A subsections 1 and 2. This is called conspicuous stalking, all right? And this is also the intent to terrorize while they are monitoring the documentation, all right? It is 9:27 p.m. and that is P.O.C. That's called amplification of audible activity. That's supposed to be traffic from Euclid that is amplified in volume while I have 6 shadows standing in front of me and an Ontario police officer that is creating light activity as well, sitting in the vehicle to my right. That's called P.O.C. All right, it's 9:29 p.m. I made enough of an example of that Ontario police officer. They maintain presence. Understand that is intentional visual presence. And they are maintaining presence at all times, engaging in what is ongoing stalking, not only physically, all right, that's relevant positioning, but audibly, stalking using their sirens, while they are maintaining presence all together as a group, not just that officer. He's the only one that you see. The Ontario Police Department are engaging in what is federal stalking by entity. This is group conduct. And that, in that regard, that is where that satanic aspect, it's rooted in that, the fact that demons act as a pack, what demons do with light. And here is also the helicopter. I don't understand why they continue to provide what is that ongoing pattern that I'm demonstrating. This is the state stalking directly. Police, planes, helicopters. That's the direct conduct. That's P.O.C. It's 9:30 p.m. Just take a listen. Flying right over my head. Documented since 2019. The Ontario police officer is loitering in relevant position in directed light, creating light activity while the state is creating amplified helicopter activity over my head. That's federal stalking by the Ontario Police Department. And understand, they have no way to shelter third parties. The thousands of third parties that I have documented are engaging in federal stalking with them. This is criminal facilitation by the state, acting as the Ontario Police Department, and criminal facilitation by the people. So if they're engaging in this stupidity because they think that they can shelter third parties, that is a mistake as well. They cannot shelter each other whatsoever. I have already prosecuted the state, and I am done prosecuting the people. I'm showing you what is demonic because we're going to intensify. This is called terrorism. All right, this isn't just ordinary federal stalking. This is demonic activity by a government intending to terrorize an American citizen. This is something that they practice. That's terrorism. The state is engaging in the demonic pattern of flying in a circle in a helicopter, while Ontario police are maintaining presence right here in front of me in directed light and creating light activity, while the state is also amplifying audible activity. This is P.O.C. Remember, my shadow is lined in front of me. The people of the state are maintaining relevant position, patrolling in traffic, monitoring as well. And this is the desperation. This is the absence of any ability to have any rebuttal whatsoever by an entity that is monitoring the documentation. They know they don't have argument. They know that they are caught red-handed. They know. They would rather me focus on today rather than publish the documentation that I gathered, for example. That's how futile their conduct is. I'm dealing with demons, all right? These are demons, and those are the methods of Satan, a defeated entity, acting amongst a multiplicity of people, but that does not make them intelligent. You can wear a police uniform all you want. That does not make you superior. It does not make you above the law. I'm going to put them in their place, all right? Because at its core, this is Satan. And Satan is a loser. He lost very badly. I'm teaching you, I'm showing you about what is demonic. This is literally flying in a circle. And now, where is it flying in a circle? Not over the museum building where it is, where I'm over there, flying in a circle right here where I'm standing at the intersection of Lemon and Transit. All right, I did capture that pretty lengthy video of what is, oh, you want to hear that because that's a threat? All right, the ongoing environment is maintained. Anything you're hearing that is reminiscent of gunshots, that's a threat by the entity that's monitoring and is still flying in a circle in a helicopter. In addition to that, you have what is the use of the helicopter to fly around in a circle. That's an intent to terrorize. And by the way, how many times is that happening to people twice in a day? Happened to me this morning and right now. That is also the absence of any coincidence. I've already established my case. I'm just pointing out what's just common sense. Just common sense. It's just common sense. And not only multiple times in a day, essentially everywhere that I go, but for a prolonged period amount of time. I've been specifically documenting this for years now. Okay? Like I said, that is the pattern of conduct, and I'm going to call it by its name. I understand what that is. It is demonic, it's Satan. And that is known by the conduct. To the untrained eye, to the unspiritual eye, to the undiscerning eye, you know it by their conduct. All right? That's the state flying over my head. While the people of the state of California are engaging in terrorism with the state. Monitoring while the Ontario police, that demon-possessed stalker, was sitting on the opposite side of the museum. They're engaging in terrorism together. Let me give you some license plates. Sex offenders and terrorists, 8 ROV 328, 8 VVV 434, 5 JVZ 863. This is the exact same thing they were doing this morning under what is a fake sun, not the sun. And that's exactly what I have. I was pointing out with regard to as I'm at Starbucks, and the state's fake sun is, I mean, leaning over the edge of the 150 East Hall Boulevard, the Health Public Clinics, while I'm standing there. It's over the edge, not just over the building anymore. It is piercing over the edge right where I'm standing at the corner. That is not even possible to coexist with what the state was doing with its fake sun 24 hours ago at Starbucks, the 706 West Hall, 8UOM 368. All right, so this ongoing demonstration of the Ontario Police Department, a defeated agency and a defeated entity, engaging in what is the provision of ongoing documentation of what is going to be direct evidence of terrorism and sexual violence and federal stalking and criminal facilitation of all of the above. They are engaging in what is 8LRH435 evidence against the people, the vicarious actor, because that's all they're doing. They're embarrassing themselves, and they are helping me at this point prosecute the people. Even though it's already done, I don't need any help. I did it unilaterally, okay? I literally did it on my own. So at this juncture, what are you doing? I am teaching you about what is the necessity of policy, all right? Because this is something that they're going to regret. And why are they going to regret? Because of that prosecution. They're not going to want to have anything to do with that. Nobody else will. I know that. 8GNT 513. And there is no limit to the amount of documentation that you can gather to prosecute an entity. You document as many as you can, you document whatever you can, because that prosecution is to be massive, because the criminal act is massive. The criminal act is massive. It is currently 9:40 p.m. and let me be clear, the state is still flying in a circle. Let me give you another video. All right, capture just another video because you can hear it on the podcast, but I just feel like, oh my goodness, you need to see this. When I see something that's so compelling, I'm like, oh, okay, you have to see this. Because the state is literally flying. I mean, they are telling you, because I already know, they are telling you, because I'm documenting them, they are telling you that they are focused on me by that very conduct. You're flying over and 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 over in a circle over me. Okay? That's very, very weird. All right? So that is weird times infinity because it's a government that's doing that. Why are you doing that? You have no business doing that. That's very, very weird and terrorizing. Okay? It's not just weird, it's satanic. And that is born of a demonic impulse, a demonic obsession, entirely focused on me. All right? This is not any kind of paranoia. If I was making it up, I would not have hundreds of videos of the state stalking, because that's what it is, day in and day out, by planes and helicopters. Okay? I would not have what is ongoing documentation if I was making it up, but I'm making it up, I'm paranoid, but I also have ongoing documentation substantiating every allegation. I mean, and I also have documentation of this same entity that would love to try to, and did try multiple times to try to depict me as suffering some mental incapacity while they were kidnapping me, by the way. They didn't even have any legal right to have me. They had to do it totally outside of the bounds of the law in order to do so. So in that regard, they don't even have any legitimacy there. But you're talking about trying to color me in some light as I am documenting the state. That's not a coincidence. That's ongoing confirmation of the exact same thing I'm documenting as well. Okay? Like I said, the facts speak for themselves, and that is the P.O.C. That is the pattern of conduct. The pattern of conduct is of Satan. All right? And that is the P.O.C. It is 9:44 p.m. All right, Satan is very, very concerned about me. This is a stalker, and this is why I intend to create policy to protect the ordinary targeted individual. I am arming that ordinary targeted individual with the artillery, with an arsenal, in order to combat what is of Satan, all right? And that poses a direct threat to your life while they are engaging in what are, together as a group, demonic impulses of stalking, all right? And this is the state, and the reason why I'm giving you that pretext of what I'm about to say is because the state is back, and that's audibly, because it didn't go anywhere. They're always stalking 24 hours a day, as unimaginable as that is, as much as you can fathom how much resources you are wasting while you're engaging in terrorism of an American citizen. That's what the state of California is doing, and they are stalking 24 hours a day in airplanes and helicopters just to engage in stalking one person. Okay? That is Satan. That is so preoccupied. And I just want to be clear now, 9:45 p.m. Like I said, the state didn't go anywhere in that helicopter. He just drove out of my immediate view. I'm hearing what is audible activity. That is speaking to monitoring, okay? The audible aspect is speaking to monitoring. The stalking is ongoing. That's called relevant position. Perpetual presence in the path. That's alliteration. I thought of that on my own. Anyway, let me be serious. This is very serious, but it's just that I find it so pathetic, okay? But I also understand that I'm subject to it, and I take it as it's a personal duty to not only expose and shame what is Satan amongst the people, all right? I'm going to embarrass them and understand that that's a matter of justice, all right? You want to engage in this weirdo demonic conduct, I'm going to show you to be the freak weirdo that you are, and that is exactly what they are. They are the weirdos that don't want you to know that they're weirdos, all right? That's what a psychopath is, by the way. And the psychopath, the super weirdo that doesn't want everybody to know that they are that, will point the finger at you and say, you're crazy. That's a psychopath, and that's the demon, okay? All right? And that is the entirety of that entity, all right? That's a psychopath. That's the ultimate of a weirdo. I can give you so many scenarios, but I will digress there. The state came back in the helicopter, and that is just audibly, like I said, did not go anywhere. When I'm capturing the state, flying over a building where I'm at, flying over me repeatedly in airplanes, they're not going anywhere. The state is just pacing, flying over, creating ongoing audible activity as they are maintaining presence via commercial size and smaller airplanes. They're monitoring, and they're engaging in the demonic pacing conduct. All right? The state's not going anywhere, though. The state is engaged in surveillance. The state is engaged in group stalking. So you have one plane after another plane after another plane, and they are maintaining presence together. The state's not going anywhere. That's the psychopath. That's the stalker. All right? And so when you take a step back and you understand what it is that they are doing, as I break it down, and you understand what they are doing, you see that is a very, very disturbed group, because it's not individualized. That's a group. And this group is operating under Satan. All right. And so, like I said, there is an aspect of prescription involved in that prosecution. But I'm focusing on what is the creation and understanding the necessity as a matter of justice, what policy shall be, and speaking to what is as a matter of literally an unprecedented prosecution, because it's an unprecedented crime, and it's literally required. It is a matter of justice. The government, when you understand the government's intent, when you understand what the government is engaged in, what the government is sanctioning amongst the people of the state, and the level of violation that an American citizen is subject to as a government practices this, It is a matter of justice, and there's no question about it with regards to policy and the limitless aspect, the limitless character of that prosecution. The targeted individual is empowered and in no way restricted. You are not going to be limited in your ability to, in any way that you can try to document, because you know it's the state's pattern of conduct. And so you identify, you gather whatever you can in order to document. And I have shown so many different ways for how you are able to document the entity that is using nothing but our different guises, all right, which I'm showing you as you break it down. There is no guise. The elements govern. The elements control. This is a system of monitoring with communication devices. The elements govern, while this demonic entity is focused on the outward form, for which there is no, it doesn't even apply. It's not even legally relevant. You can argue, you can say whatever you want, they're going to be prosecuted. All right, you're understanding the nature of the crime of monitoring, you're understanding what they are systematically engaging in, which are elements. They're engaging in elements on a systematic basis. All right. Anyway, it's 9:50 p.m. and that was the state at 9:45 coming back to audibly fly over in helicopter. And this is the state, the same Satan, okay, flying commercial planes, flying those planes over where I am at. Very concerned about me. Taking off. That's not taking off. That's the sound of a plane while the state is stalking an airplane. That's literally a tape of the sound of a plane. The sound starts the moment that I see the plane at the tip of the building. All right, from what elevation are you flying such that you are at that loud volume suddenly? All right, it's not coming loudly from a distance, and it's not continuing loudly as it passes. It's concentrating the audible activity, just like the state is concentrating its light activity. In addition to that, like I said, they're not going anywhere. And you're not taking off right here in front of the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. But that's the audible activity that the state creates. It's not even intelligent. That's what I say. All you have to do is use your common sense. The state is engaging in creating loud noise while it is stalking in airplanes, acting like it's taking off right here at the museum. All right, but where are you coming from? And you are necessarily hunkering down low to fly over if you want to argue that that's the actual audible activity. I'm letting you know that it's not, because even when the state flies at much, much higher elevations where you also would not hear it, the state is keeping that same loud volume. Being very accustomed to the state's pattern of conduct, the state is stalking with noise, stalking in the path, and stalking with light. All right, that is P.O.C. It's 9:51 p.m. Amtrak train tracks as a means of audible activity in the same directed light. And it's not an Amtrak train. They're using the Amtrak train tracks to run a train back and forth on that train track while they're stalking with ongoing noise and directed light. All right, that's attributed to Amtrak, and it's the same demon possession using audible activity and stalking with activity and maintaining activity. It's 9:54 p.m. And this is the psychopath just keeping noise going while the state is flying over in a helicopter at the same time. Right? Flying south directly over the courtyard of the museum. I'm looking dead at it while you're sounding train activity. And by the way, that is a tape of the sound of a train turned up loud in volume as the state flies over in a helicopter. So understand the combination of audible activity. You don't have to create the sound of helicopter activity as you've got the loud train activity while the state is still stalking, flying in relevant position in the helicopter. It's a combination of noise and presence and light. And Amtrak will be prosecuted for terrorism, all right? And doing so with the Ontario Police Department as well. It's 9:54 p.m. It's 10:17 p.m. It's P.O.C. And the sound of the train activity immediately follows what is a plane taking off. And I put that in air quotes right here in front over me at the museum, and the train immediately follows seconds later. This is ongoing audible activity, especially as they are trying to monitor and engaging harassment in order to detract from publishing the documentation of ongoing documentation that I just gathered walking from the library. This is the pattern by this entity. It engages in it, and then the psychopath wants to distract from and engage in more of that criminal conduct while they are trying to obstruct the ability to publish it on the internet. Right? This is dealing with demons. It's P.O.C. It's 10:17 p.m.